Did you hear that going live?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry if I sniffle. My allergies are killing me up here.
Been there, done that.
I'll try not to sniffle on the phone.
That's okay. You're sitting on my stand.
If anybody would like to speak, just fill out the paper at the back of the auditorium there where you come in.
I think we're gonna have all these RE parts and nobody's staying. I mean, look at it.
So I just want to clarify how citizens' comments work for everybody. That is loud. If you would like to speak before the meeting starts on any item, agended or not, that's what citizens' comments are for. If you want to speak on an agended item, you can speak when that item comes up. So the forms that I have here are to speak during citizens' comments, not during agended items. So if you want to change that, now would be the time.
Okay. We'll get started here in just a second.
Some people are worried about the water rates going up. I mean, these people can't keep.
Let's come to order. This is a regular city council meeting. It's being held on Thursday, August 22nd, 2024 at 7 p.m. at the City Hall, 301 North Washington Street in Seymour, Texas, 76380. All notices have been duly posted in accordance and conformance with the Government Code of the State of Texas, Section 551-.072C. The City of Seymour attempts to make its meetings accessible to all its citizens. If you have need of auxiliary aids, please notify the city secretary at 940-889-3148 at least 48 hours in advance. The agenda is also posted on the city's website at cityofseymour.org with the following agenda, thank you, to be considered. We're going to start with a roll call. City Councilman Lan Nguyen. Here. City Councilman Skylar Enricks.
Here.
City Council Lady Debbie Gillespie.
Here.
City Councilman Billy Henricks.
Here.
Monty Glass.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. We've got Councilman Glass is attending, what would the term be, from distance, I guess. He's tuned in. He can see and hear everything. So let's do this at this time. Any announcements, Mayor Pro Tem Glass?
No, I do not.
Okay. I don't really have any announcements at this time. It's very hot. I would urge people to hydrate during the day and try to stay as cool as you can. Let's start with our prayer. Yeah, Pledge of Allegiance first. Remain standing for our prayer. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Councilman Schuyler Hendricks will lead us in prayer.
If you please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we just gather today here to seek your guidance and wisdom as we come together in service for our community. I want to thank and bless each one of these council members and hope that you give them that clarity and mind of purity of heart as we kind of deliberate on the matters in our community. Hopefully our decisions can reflect that justice and compassion that we were elected for and the overall common good for our fellow citizens. Please grant us that strength to lead with integrity and the courage to pursue what is right. And we ask for your peace and unity among us as we work for the betterment of all of our citizens of Seymour. In your name, amen.
Amen. Okay. Councilman Glass, any announcements that you might have?
No, Mayor, I don't have any.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any at this time. So I think at this point, we're going to move to the recognition of retiring Police Chief Mike Griffin.
Yes, Chief Griffin is unable to be here tonight, but we do want to make sure that everyone please attend on Friday, August 30th from 1:30 to 3 here at City Hall. We're going to have a come and go retirement party for Chief Griffin. So we just want to encourage everybody to please attend. Chief Griffin has committed a big part of his life to the city of Seymour, and he's done a lot of great things. And I think it would just be admirable for everybody to be there and extend their appreciation and gratitude for Mike for his service and everything he's done for our community.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Brazier. That's next Friday, about 1:30. Okay. Didn't ask, but do any of the council folks have any announcements or anything they'd like to mention at this time? Okay. Everybody's good. Okay. At this point, we've got citizens' comments, and everybody that wanted to speak hopefully has filled one of these out, and they're not in any order. I'll just call your name, and if you would, just introduce yourself, and then you can, you've got 3 minutes. I've got Rebecca Golding. Sorry about that.
Hello. I just wanted to bring to the public attention, to your attention.
Excuse me. Could you speak right into that mic?
Okay.
Thank you.
I just wanted to bring up comments about attention to the number of lots in the city that are being turned into RV hookup lots and special use. I'm not sure where they all are around town, but it seems like there's a whole lot of them. When I moved here, I was fully aware that an RV park was next to where we lived because it's right there. And we had told that it had been there for years. We were okay with that because the owners run the lot like a real RV park and have some rules and standards. But now I find out that there's like 5 more lots with RVs scattered around within a few blocks. And then there's several more that were just approved last month on North Cedar at the end of Ingram. And I'm not sure where all the rest of them were that have been approved and have not actually been built yet. And there's some that have been built that are empty. We do need more housing in the town for families and single people who want to live here permanently, put down roots, and stay here for a while. Families need good housing with yards for the children and pets. Some of these lots, couldn't they be put to better use with mobile homes and duplexes? Something that families could live in. These lots that are being put up are not really RV parks per se. They're just lots with transient workers from wind and solar farms and maybe from some of the ranches around here. I'm not sure what the individual lot owners, I'm not trying to cut anybody's income out. I'm just something to think about. I'm not sure what kind of regulations the city has on the number of trailers or the types of trailers and vehicles, the noise levels, or the number of occupants per trailer or lot. Not sure what all the details are when you give someone a special use permit. You guys say just a special use permit for an RV lot, but what are the specific details, or are there any? And what's going to happen in town when those wind farms and solar projects ends? We're going to be back to empty lots with a bunch of RV hookups on them. Still no place for families, no place for people, and the community's going to look anyway. Do you really want to end up with like 50 RV lots scattered all over the town with a few houses mixed in between? Is that what we want for the city? And I'd like to see some kind of map. Okay.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, I'd like to see some kind of map with the whole town and where all these special use permits are.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Golden. Next, Regina Phillips.
Okay, I didn't come really prepared to say a whole lot except for I got a phone call from a neighbor, and I also talked to another neighbor that said they had gotten a letter that there is
Jackie Welter, and I live at 301 North Tackett. I'm Curtis Langston's daughter. My house is up for sale, and I have a potential buyer who has told me that if the RV goes in, the deal is completely off the table. And if I drove through town, I know of 11 RV parks in town. There's 5 lots from just Tackett. I drove up and down the Tackett area, and there's 5 RVs sitting on lots with houses that are falling apart, and the people are living in the RVs, and it looks terrible. Why don't we put up some houses, do something? People come to this town, and I've had people from Wisconsin actually come down and visit and say, well, I wouldn't mind buying a house here and fixing it up and living. And then they drive around and said, why would I come to some place that looks like this? And Kathy is my neighbor, and I do want to move back to Wisconsin and get my house sold. And if we put an RV in next door to Kathy, then across the street we have a vacant lot that could have RVs. We've been fighting for 3 years to get 3 RVs off the corner of Tackett and Pecan. That is ridiculous. And I know that there's all over town, and I've been talking to people. I say, do you drive around town and look at the amount of RVs sitting around? And once the windmills people go away, we're going to have a bunch of empty lots sitting there with nothing on them. And a lot of people don't clean up the RV parks, the RV area, when they leave. And it really looks tacky, in my opinion. And it really does matter. This matters to me because my dad was proud of that house, and we've always tried to keep that area nice and clean. And they've been cleaning up the properties around there. And I think an RV park devalues everybody's property. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's all the public comment forms that I have. Sure, please do. Okay, let's move on. We've got a presentation. Sheriff White is here to talk to us a little bit about the CoLogic system, expense, all that stuff.
I'm Sheriff White. I apologize. I think there was a little misunderstanding on what I was here to talk about. I was coming to see if you guys had any questions about Cologic and CopSync and how we would be able to interface that new technology with the city and the county and our dispatch. But I apologize, but I can answer any questions if you have them, but I don't know if I didn't see that as an agenda item yet.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Any council people, does everybody understand what this system does? It's through could you give us a 1 minute real general?
It's software that's going to give us a computer-aided dispatch or a CAD, a records management system or an RMS, and a mobile platform. The city already has that in their squads, so they can run license plates. It's not that we're asking dispatch to do less. We're actually going to be able to interface easier. They will be able to send us all calls through our computers and our cars. The cumbersome system that they're using right now will go away, and they'll be able to add calls quickly into the CAD, the computer-aided dispatch, and send it out to the road. And then say, I don't get dispatch to it on the radio, I can pick it up myself in my car, and then we all can see what each other's doing. Plus, it leads to public safety because we can see what other agencies that have this system, maybe they've dealt with that same bad guy 20 minutes earlier. So it is really a benefit.
Okay. Questions? What's it called? Oh yeah, we know the cost is $92,000.
$113,000, but that is a 5-year contract. That's not another $10,000 or $12,000 every year. That's 5 years. That's all the software and then all the upgrades and everything that we'll need for 5 years. We're kicking the can down the road for 5 years. It sounds like at one point a few years ago, about 8 or 9 years ago, we did have a version of CopSync, which obviously isn't what we have now, what is out there. But after the first year, it wasn't budgeted for or funded by the commissioners. And so it basically got taken out of computers. We've been working this week. We actually got new computers in our whole office. So we're able to use this system when we get it in a few months now. So it sounds like a lot of money, but if you look at the big picture, it's really not.
Excuse me, just for folks that don't know this information, the county and the city basically pay 50% each for the dispatching services, expenses related to the dispatching services. And this was an expense that the Sheriff's White's trying to get the Sheriff's Department up to speed on, various computer related things and, those kinds of deals. So anyway, what we're trying to do is just do our due diligence on whether or not, I guess is it related enough to dispatch for us to pay 50% of it? And I've talked with you at length on some of it, and we've been gathering other information and that kind of thing. So I just kind of wanted the council to understand where it was all, and I think they do. But it's a good system. You can get a lot of information through it.
Very much so. It'll make it so we move into 2024 instead of 1998. And I'm not kidding. If you came to our office, you would be appalled at the technology we have. And it's public, so here we are. Okay. But it's a really beneficial system. I think there's dozens and dozens of agencies in Texas that are using it.
So the 113,000 over 5 years, correct?
Yes. But because we were going to pay for it up front, we get a 15% discount. And that was the caveat to this contract that we asked them to enter into with us.
So we're looking at the number is really 92,000 approximately, or is it the 113?
No, it's the 113. There was a little misunderstanding.
Okay.
We've decided we aren't going to ask them to quote us for the records management, moving our current system into that because we don't have enough data in there. It would behoove us just to print out what we have and then have dispatchers when they have time, when they have downtime, which hopefully once we get everything up and going, they will have more downtime to do the new data entry and just use instead of electronically asking them, because it was a pretty big chunk of change to do the migration from the old system into the new.
Okay. All right. Questions down here? Anybody? Sheriff White, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Okay. City administrator reports.
All right, thank you,
Dr.
Mayor.
Jeff Brazier.
Yes, sir. On the administrative reports, I just want to bring the council's attention. We still have a position open in the street department, and so Mr. Kolodzic has been working hard to get that position filled. Also, all the administrative reports are there in your council packet for your review if you have any questions for that one. On the police department, again, Chief Griffin's retirement party here at City Hall on August 30th, 1:30 to 3, but also we're going to have the swearing in of interim Chief Sawyer on Friday at 10 o'clock here at City Hall.
Can I interrupt you a second? Can we make that volume higher some way on
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I'll talk louder then. I didn't want to blast anybody out. So anyway, our interim police
Make
chief.
sure the microphone's on because I can't hear anybody. I can hear Mark.
Everybody's mic, everybody up there needs to keep their mic on.
Okay. So again, I just want to repeat again, interim police chief Bryce Sawyer will have his swearing in Friday at 10 o'clock here at City Hall. And so we would just like everyone to also let's encourage our new police chief as he moves forward and creates a safe environment for everyone here in the city. On your financials, I put there in front of you an updated financial report. And at the end of July, it shows that we do have $314,000 in the black, which is very good. And y'all need to know that as y'all make some other decisions here in just a little bit. Also, I kind of want to give y'all a brief review of our council, for the council for our budget. And so we've been working really hard on this for a long time. And just to remind everyone on the council that, well over 95% of the budget's already set before we ever start. This because it has to do with your fuel, your insurance, repairs, salaries, day-to-day operating expenses, and there already have been so many predetermined contracts and things that all has to be worked into the budget. But there is sometimes a little bit of a wiggle room, and so if y'all remember, we went and we asked y'all what y'all's budgeting priorities are for the year, and then we tried to work those in based on available funds. Again, this budget does allow us to tackle some important projects such as dilapidated properties, improve road infrastructure, move forward with some water projects, specifically expanding some of our water wells, new golf carts. So there are going to be a lot of good positive things that will be moving forward with this budget pending council approval. Quick review on our revenues. Right now, we're projecting less water and electrical sales based on this year. So that's created a little bit of a deficit, we'll talk about here in just a minute. With our tax rate, depending on what y'all approve tonight, we're looking at maybe $30,000 extra there. And so, really the majority of our revenues do come from electrical and water sales. And so that's kind of what we're having to work through as we finish up and try to get our budget balance by next month. We did put in a 2% pay raise for all employees for cost of living. And then there's some personnel stuff, and we can touch on that in closed session, so I'll skip over that. But I did want to ask the council to review our water rates. So our water rates have not been increased since 2022. And if y'all remember, prior to that, I think it was a very long time. I hate to say a specific date, but we did increase that because the high cost of acid during that time had been severely inflated. So we had to generate some additional dollars to do that. So we did that. And another issue I just wanted to mention to y'all that, the city is, kind of battling looking at water loss. And so it's kind of like our electricity. We have line loss due to our electricity. And so we're able to adjust that through our PCA factor, and that way to make sure that we don't lose too much money. Well, we kind of battle the same thing with the water. And so I'm not going to say a lot about that tonight because we're still trying to identify exactly what that number is. But that does impact our budget quite significantly. But on our water rates, we are looking at adding additional employee, and I think the council has kind of made that a priority, and so that's a $50,000 additional expense once you calculate benefits and salary. Currently, we're under budget around $100,000 in the water department, and so in order to address that, y'all can do that in multiple ways. We can already try to cut a very tight budget, or we can look at increasing our water rates. Right now, to make up that deficit, we would propose a $5 a month meter fee plus an additional 30 cents on your usage fee. So that would increase your base rate from $29.15 to $34.15 approximately on your $5 meter fee. And then your 30 cents would take it from about 530, 501 to about 532 or 531. So we would like for y'all to consider that as well. So anyway, with that addition, with those increases, and that would allow us to balance again our water budget. And of course, another thing that we're dealing with is, of course, just the rising cost of operating and maintaining our departments due to, I'll just say, Bidenomics and inflation. And so that's created a real challenge there as well. Also mentioned that the RO plant has increased their budget for the following reasons. We increased that $25,000 to replace our anti-scalant and our caustic soda feeds that are in disrepair and needs to be updated. We also increased it by $5,000 for well pumps and motors. And this again is our objective is to put additional water wells back online. And of course, with that comes cost. We did put additional 50,000. Well, excuse me. We increased our dilapidated properties from 15,000 to 50,000. That was a request by our mayor, but also I believe it was an overall priority for our city council. We've had to increase our IT services due to having antiquated workstations. We've come a long ways with our IT services, but each year CTSI has done a great job of outlining a strategic plan on ensuring that we maintain and improve the quality of our IT services. Also, there's been an increase due to cybersecurity. These are some major concerns going on. And so it was highly recommended by CTSI that we put in some additional precautions and then just overall inflationary cost. We also seen an increase with the appraisal district, increase their expenses due to employee insurance. So we'll see an increase of approximately about $27,000 in revenues to our appraisal district. And then also the county has presented us with a budget, and of course included in that budget was the cop sync or the Clogic. It was about $45,925. And also there was a request to increase dispatcher salaries $1, which will be approximately about a $5,420 cost to the city as well. We were able to make some cuts. We cut about $130,000 out of the budget due to the fact that we paid off our road grader, our rodding machine, and then we also discovered that the airport fund had been budgeted twice last year. So that was another $30,000 savings on top of that. We cut the park budget about $13,000. Another added increase, of course, with our golf cart purchases, that increased that line item from $13,676 to $21,660. But we did attempt to offset those costs by increasing the overall cost of the golfers as well. So, and again, the rest of this is personnel, so we'll talk about that in closed session. So anyway, just kind of want to give y'all a brief overview. Y'all have the updated budget in front of you. It's not balanced at this point, but we'd really appreciate any feedback that y'all may have and answer any questions y'all may have regarding the budget.
Jeff, would you touch on, we're working on our finances and we're moving along pretty good on that at this point. And so hopefully we'll be caught up even more, maybe within the next 30 days in terms of an audit on our finances. Would that be correct?
Yes. So I did have that on the agenda on the TML Finance Boot Camp. Mr. Don Jennings with the TML Boot Camp has been on site for about 3 weeks. Our auditor was here today gathering information. So as soon as they finish those bank reconciliations, and then they'll be moving forward with that. So we hope maybe by our next council meeting, we will have our 21-22 audit done, and we'll continue moving forward with the next one. And so I think we're on a positive track. We're moving forward, but we, in order to have TML come here, it has been quite significant of an expense.
Yes.
But at this point, I really didn't feel like that we had any other options in order to get everything together. And after seeing and working with them over the last 3 weeks, I do think it was
Yeah.
the right decision moving forward with their support, with their help. And they're doing a great job, and they work hard to get there at 8. And I mean, they work through lunch. And so they work great as a team and work well with our finance team. So we are moving in a very, very positive direction.
Thank you for that. I'm glad you worked with them on that and came up with this. That's real good.
And the last thing I'd like to report on is just the hot board funds, just to keep
Right.
y'all in the loop. So we did meet last week, and the hot board gave $20,000 to the Seymour beautification project, and that $20,000 will be used for advertisement. I don't know. Well, I think we probably all remember, most all of us are old enough, but that old maroon sign that used to be on the courthouse square, they're going to refurbish that and put that up front there by the courthouse. I think they're going to do some landscaping around it, and it's really, really going to be nice. So I do think that's money well spent, and I think it will promote our community and, of course, make it more beautiful as well.
For folks that don't know this, some of y'all won't remember it, but I'm old enough to remember it. It was a pretty substantial sign on the corner of the courthouse, and hadn't been used in probably, I don't know, 30 years, maybe longer. But there's going to be a beautification project go in between Vita's and the drive-through for Interbank. There's a grassy area right in there, and that's going to be landscaped in that sign. They're going to light it and landscape that property. So just another something to help the town look better. Thank you, Jeff. Okay, public hearings. 307 North Tackett. This is for specific use permits, and just a little information on that. It's not a rezone, it's and Lauren can jump in and correct me if I say this wrong, but it's basically you get this permit, and if you want to do a RV park, you can do so, but once it stops being used as that, then it goes back to an R1, which is residential. Is that correct, Lauren?
Yes, so we're not changing the zoning on the property. A specific use permit is a request by the owner to use the property outside of the way that it is currently zoned. And they come and ask the council for that permission, and we give them that permission. That permit dies with that owner when that property is sold, and the other owner, if they want to continue to use the property that way, must reapply for the permit.
Okay, all right, good enough. So on the 307 North Tackett, is this the time for if the public wants to speak about this?
Yes, y'all will take your action items at the
Okay.
item number 18. And so
Okay,
this is the public discussion portion.
all right. This is the time if you want to speak regarding this. The property at 307, I think it's a single lot or a lot and a half, 307 North Tackett.
So the application in your packet has all the lot information. It also has the site plan. The application was filled out correctly, and all the time requirements were met. So
Okay. Well, if you'd like to state an opinion or discuss it up here, you're welcome to come up. If not, we're probably we need to move on to 1101 North Cedar. Oh, I'm sorry. You bet. You bet. If you'll just introduce yourself and go right ahead, and I think that's a 3-minute deal here. Oh, thank you. Want to start?
I'm ready to go. My name's Eric Robinson. I
All
live
right.
over at 910 North Grossman Street. So I've lived in Seymour for about 4.5 years now.
Go ahead.
Okay. So we would like to talk about 307 North Tackett. That is my property that I bought. As you can see from the special use permit, and thank you very much for clarifying that, Mr. Mayor, that this is not a rezoning. This is special use. So we would like to put one camper spot out there. So with that, I'd kind of like to start with some of the things that I've heard here and the comments, everybody sees all these empty lots and that. And I think there's a lot of uneducated guesses going around. People drive around their truck and they see what they want and they form their own opinion. And they look at Facebook, and that's where the facts come from. So with that, like with this lot, I want to put one camper. First tenant that I was going to have on there's a good friend of mine I work with, and he could not find a spot in Seymour. He had to move to Mundy, and he's got his camper there. And the lot is overgrown with weeds, with snakes, and he can't bring his family out to see him on the weekend because he doesn't feel they're safe. So when I put this lot in, he was going to come stay there. And so then with that, there's been a lot of talk with, how Paula Douglas is going to be buying 301 North Tackett from Jackie Welter, with the exception that this is denied. So, I mean, I thought that was very weird, the way she was going around talking to all the neighbors. I mean, convincing some of the other neighbors to change their vote because of this. After doing a little bit more research on Miss Douglas, I found that there's a lot of outstanding claims, and she's got multiple bankruptcies. She has quite a few lawsuits against her right now. There is the bankruptcies right now has been filed 3 separate times to try and get out of paying $5.26 million that they're coming after her for on this trust, and she is the sole trustee on it. So, I mean, just with some of this and seeing it, like it just kind of goes to show. I've always heard you're only good as your word. And I hope Miss Jackie is looking at this and she can see that, somebody that has that character and has all this going against her. I mean, I don't know how well I'd feel about that business deal and knowing that Miss Paula's going to hold up to her end of it. There's been multiple businesses that she has tried to buy in this town, one of which just fell through this week. So I'm sure that there's not a lot of people in here that have done the research and seen that. But it's, I would be very hesitant to do dealings with her, and I hope Miss Jackie has not got all her eggs in one basket and counting on this sale, because you're as good as your word. And from what I've read and the packets we handed out to y'all, if you want to read through some of that, I would not trust Miss Paula's word very, very far. So with that, I also want to say with these transient wind workers that are in here, I'm a wind farm worker, been here 4.5 years. I'd like to point out some of the good things that these workers have done.
It's 3 minutes.
Thanks,
Thank you, sir. Okay, anyone else? If you'll introduce yourself, Bob.
How you doing, folks? Bobby Morrow. I actually own one of these RV parks that we're talking about, which mine is full, has been full, and stays full. Come by and take a look at it. Love for anybody to. Everybody that I have there, I want to say 95% of them are wind farm workers. I couldn't tell you the amount of money that Mortensen has put into this community, with the hospital, with the schools, snow cone day, it's unlimited the amount of money that Mortensen has put in, and even up into the bike park that we're building now. All these things that would not be possible if it was not for these wind farm workers. The grocery stores, the convenience stores, grocery stores, myself, there's a lot of businesses in town that have benefited from these wind farm people. So people that live in campers are not transients. They are workers. They're here to do a job. They appreciate being here. This is one of the places that they want to be. They don't want to be in Vernon, Holiday, Wichita. They want to be in Seymour. With that, I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right. Let's see here. Anybody else? 307 North Tackett's what we've been talking about. If not, let's move on to 1101 North Cedar. Someone like to talk about that?
Y'all have actually had this application once before. It was pulled before it could finish its last round. So you just saw this property the month before under a different name. So if it looks or sounds familiar, that's why.
Right. So a new application's been completed in the new owner's name, is that?
Yes, and that's a testament to the process.
Okay.
The property changed hands. A new owner had to make application
Okay.
for the property.
This, for some of y'all that maybe are not familiar, it's in about as far as you can go on North Cedar Street.
North.
And there are, I don't know what, the Seymour Housing Authority has some units kind of generally in that area. And then as you go further north, it kind of turns into agricultural land or whatever. So I've driven by there and they've look like they're setting it up for this use. And it is also specific use. It's not a zoning change, correct?
Yes, the property will remain an
Okay.
R1. And I will say, our customer process now has changed. It's changed in the last probably 90 days, where you have to put on your customer application when you turn on utilities, if you're doing it for residential, commercial, recreational vehicle, or manufactured housing. This is a way for us to get ahead of people spending a bunch of money to convert a property that may not receive a permit. So we do tell all of our applicants that we cannot turn utilities on until the property is zoned as your customer card is labeled. If you were to turn on your utilities under residential and then go put in a bunch of RV locations, we would then turn the utilities off because you have falsified your documentation. So none of these properties that have turned in applications have utilities turned on to them as of yet. If they have construction done, it's been improvements that they've chose to make.
Yeah, that we'd kind of run into this before where utilities would get turned on and immediately it was out of conformance with the zoning. So Lauren's been trying to catch that and make sure, and it's on the application now to state how you intend to use the property. So it kind of keeps us out of a jam and helps inform people, like you say, not to spend a lot of money till you get approval to do this. Okay, anybody else on 1101 North Cedar? If not, let's go to 1009. Oh, excuse me. Go right ahead. Come on up.
I don't know all the town that well, but when you go to Google, it shows there's a house there. So what is this special use for?
I'm sorry, say that again.
It shows on Google that there is a house at that location. Did it get removed?
Yes.
Yes, it's gone.
In the last 45 days.
Yeah,
So Google
it's-
hasn't updated.
It's been knocked
their
down
map.
and removed from the property.
So when you approve these, my question is, you said you approve them for special use and they can use it for any special use.
No. I think it's is it not restricted to?
In the application, you have to state how you're going to use it and submit a site plan. So if you said, I want to use it for tiny houses and I'm going to put 3 of them right here, that would be your permit if it was approved. But if you went and put 6 RVs instead of what you were permitted, then that permit would be out. It wouldn't be valid anymore. So you have to ask very specifically what you want, and it's very specifically granted, and that's what is in the permit only.
And again, whether you put 5 or 15, couldn't we get some mobile home hookups here instead of just RVs?
All right, thank you. Okay.
Mark, I have a question.
Go right ahead.
It's Hunter, you're putting this in, didn't you? Hey, where's the allotted like parking for the people that are living there on your map? It just doesn't say anything about parking or anything on that.
Hunter, come on up.
Yeah.
And just tell us who you are and this is your project, right?
I'm Hunter Hentrick. This is my property that I've recently purchased. The house has been knocked down, and I'm making space over in that area for parking.
Where the house was at?
Yes,
Okay.
it's, working on funds and everything.
Oh, yeah,
We just
yeah,
bought the
understand.
property, but that will be where parking will be. It will be on the property. It won't be along the side of the street.
Okay.
And then there's also a access there on the back where it was an alleyway.
Right.
And, people can pull in there, and it's on the property though.
Okay. All right, cool. I was just making sure. I was just looking at your site plan. Thank you.
While he's up here, does anybody else have a question? I've driven by there and it's Looks like you've done quite a bit of work down there. So
Yes, sir.
if there's not, thank you, Hunter. Appreciate it. 1009 Plainview. That's Plainview Road. That's you. If you'll introduce yourself and you're gonna start the clock on that, Lynn? Okay. Go right ahead.
I'm Jesse King at 1009 Plainview. I applied for the special use permit to put 10 RV hookups there. I've been at my house for 16 years now. I just recently bought the 4 acres behind my house. That's the spot that I've applied for the permit on. Those 4 acres are behind my private residence on Plainview and in between the soccer field where they're going to install the ISD housing. That empty lot there, that's me. I'm not looking to develop the entire 4 acres. Right now, I've got it licensed as farm use. So I know that you don't actually rezone, but if I were to be approved, I would have to go down to the USDA and kind of redraw those lines. So the farm use part of it would only be about half, the southern half of the property. And it's the north half that I'm looking to develop. When I sit on my back porch at night, I'll be looking at this. This is something that I'll see, I'll be looking into. So it's absolutely in my best interest to landscape it, make it pretty, make it nice, not a corner lot with weeds and gravel and all that. It's going to be a huge investment for me. This is something, I spent a lot of money buying the land. I'm looking forward to finding a way to enjoy it, but also support my family and do something with it other than just sink money into it. I'd like to get some money back out of it. So I'm hoping that if I do it right, you know, and really take pride in it, and maybe if the ISD housing, maybe we can complement each other and kind of, instead of me thinking, oh, I have to look at housing, or them thinking, oh, I have to look at a vacant lot, maybe we can make it work together and kind of make it something that we can both enjoy. I can get some revenue off of it. I can continue to clean up the lot. When I bought it, it was a junkyard. It was full of scrap metal. I've slowly got all of that removed, got it cleaned up. I'd like to keep moving on, but I'd like to know that I was going to get the permit before I invested any more money in developing the property. That's really about it. I think I've covered it.
Yeah, it's good. It's good information.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? 1009 Plainview. This is the property we're talking about. She just explained where it is, and it's been vacant for as long as I can remember. Like I say, I remember there was a lot of, I hate to say junk, but you know, discarded stuff back there for a long time. And anyway, no more comments on 1009 Plainview. All right, we'll move on to number 2 on public hearings, the public hearing for ordinance 2024-09, amending the planning and zoning ordinance to clarify council action as the planning and zoning board. Just a quick bit of information. There was a planning and zoning board several years ago. I was actually on it for a while, and it seemed like it was kind of redundant in a lot of ways. So the council has been kind of like what we're doing now, oversees that now. And Lauren, again, correct me if I'm saying this wrong, but we're here to kind of make it, I guess, actually put it in writing, so to speak.
So the language was always there that you could act as the P&Z board. Yes. It was just so muddled because it was old language that it wasn't easily identifiable, the processes. So we asked the lawyers to clean it up so that it easily reads for everybody to understand that this is how it's going to work. But all the processes outlined in this ordinance are actually already outlined in your other ordinance. It just clarifies.
We're as per the attorney, we're making it very clear. Okay. Any comments on that or discussion that someone would like to do? Okay, let's move to number 3. Public hearing ordinance 2014-10 concerning banners placed over Main Street for the purpose of advertising local events and encouraging tourism within the community. And I think, Lauren, you've been working on that.
This is a requirement from TxDOT. So there's been a banner purchased. It says "Welcome Hunters." We'd like to place it across Main Street, as they do in other communities where they advertise events that they have. To do that, we have to have an ordinance. There has to be a diagram, et cetera, et cetera. And so this is just one step towards making that project complete.
Okay, yeah, TxDOT, it'll be going over the
Main Street.
Basically from about Marks, would you say, between Marks and Superstop, across the street to
The hospital, home health. That's
hospital.
the area, the right of way that we've identified with TxDOT
Yes.
that has enough space to place the poles.
So
it's in the TxDOT right of way. It's not in private property.
Right.
And that's part of the reason why TxDOT has to have an ordinance from us saying what we're doing, because it's in their right of way.
Gotcha.
And this language was taken from the Graham, city of Graham. And so it's all been approved, and it's what they use at the city of Graham.
So go ahead, Lan, did you want to have something?
How did we get away with this years ago when they put banners across there?
My guess is that TxDOT didn't have a rule against it. It was probably an in-house thing where you went down to the office and asked the person, can I do this? And they agreed. And now there's a lot more bureaucracy about it, would be my thought process. Everything used to be a lot easier 20 years ago. Now they make it more difficult.
There won't be a banner there at all times. It'll just be for special events. Is that right?
Special event, like
It says in here that I believe it is, it's 45 days. And if it exceeds 45 days, it has to be with the understanding from the administrator. So if you wanted to advertise for 60 days for an event, then Dr. Brazier would just okay that banner be placed for over 45 days. But the regular time for signage would be 45 days. I believe it's written in there.
We're going to use existing poles, correct?
No, there's no poles there. We will have to put poles in
Why?
because there's no poles there to
When
use.
we move a little south then.
There's not adjacent, is it adjacent? There's not poles directly across from each other in a straight spot for us to use. So, and we have to have a certain height. They have to exceed 28 feet.
28 feet.
Yes, for traffic. So it has to go above the the traffic lights. It has to be taller than the traffic lights on Main Street so that your trucks and things can go under it. So we have to put, I think they're called T11 or something. John told me there's a label for it. They're a taller pole than what we would normally put in for electricity.
It's all TxDOT approved. I mean, is TxDOT one telling you 28 feet?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And it's in that last, there's a diagram in the very end of that ordinance, and it says clearance 28 feet, minimum 25. But our engineer out of Graham has requested that we do the 28 feet. So it says minimum of 25. I mean, maybe that's the banner height. That would make more sense. The top is at 28, the bottom is 25. But the poles have to be as tall as the top of the banner. And it does talk about, John and I have discussed the wind blowing through, like the type of banner that it is, so it doesn't catch the wind. So the banner they have, it's got holes in it and the wind can pass through, because the poles have to be strong enough to be able to take that force when the wind hits.
We're not buying these banners, right, for the most
No,
part?
we are not buying the banners.
Yeah.
These are banners probably purchased by the Chamber of Commerce, or if there's an event, think about it like that,
Gotcha.
or a
Car show or something.
something like that, things like that. They're not
rodeo.
permanent.
Yeah, rodeo. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Anybody out? Come on up. Oh. Introduce yourself, if you will, and then we'll get everybody.
Braden Wynn, part owner of Coach's Farm and Ranch Supply. This banner is something we've been working on since probably July, August of last year. We do have the banner. out at the store. It's a 36-foot banner. It's net, so airflow will go through it. It's 4 foot tall, 36 foot long. This is just something we had envisioned well before we decided to open that store last year, just because hunters bring so much to this community. You know, we restaurants, hotels, retail businesses, they thrive on those guys, October to February. And this is something that we wanted to do just to say welcome to our community, and just to thank them for coming. If you go anywhere south, north, east, west during hunting season, almost 90% of towns you go through have a banner, whether it's Welcome Rodeo, Hunters, you name it, they've got it. And so that's something we wanted to do. And we've worked with the chamber on this, and we hope to see this go through. Thanks.
Thank you, Braden. Good. Appreciate your work on that. Bobby, you'll tell us again who you are.
Yep, Bobby Morrow. As a member of the chamber, I actually started this conversation with our past executive director and TxDOT over 2 years ago. We had started discussing this with DOT, the reason for the height of the poles, again, for traffic. The location is because of the stoplights. That was a DOT recommendation that we couldn't put it at any other intersection other than that one due to the stoplights. So that's where it would be with the pole height, pole placement, they would all be new poles per DOT regulations. Thanks, sir.
All right. Thanks again. Thanks for your work. If you'll introduce yourself and
Dana Wynn on behalf of the Seymour Chamber of Commerce, and he basically stole everything I was going to tell you, so we're good. That's lack of communication on our part. I would say that I agree with Braden Wynn. As we pass through all these towns around us, even the larger towns will have these signs. Our chamber did a couple of years ago start conversation with several merchants in town if they wanted to participate in this, if the chamber could get this off the ground. We have worked on it at some point in time. It fell in the cracks. Don't know where that crack was exactly, but we've trying to find it and going to try to get it cleaned up and get the poles hung so that we can start advertising for our town as people are coming through. As a chamber member, I can see that we would be able to advertise for anybody if they would want to purchase the sign. The sign will have to be purchased by the vendor, by the merchant. Chamber of Commerce will not purchase those signs for anybody except for if it's a chamber event, and we ourselves would purchase our own sign at that time. But then at that time too, we would also like to engage with the city so that you guys would hang it for us and make for sure that it is hung precisely and accurately. Thank you.
thank you. Anyone else?
My only concern is that, are we going to be advertising for businesses through this sign, or is it advertising events? Because the way I wrote the ordinance says that it's not for business advertisement, because it's for community advertisement. So we might need to edit the ordinance.
That is correct. We do not see that we'll be advertising for happy birthdays and come to my store. It's welcome hunters. It's come to the rodeo. It's car shows. So I can see Seymour Helping Hands using this as well as the Chamber of Commerce, the Rodeo Association. Anybody who is willing to purchase that sign and hang it for the length of time that we're able to hang it.
So Lauren, just so I'm straight, if let's say Land opens a minnow shop and he's got Land's minnows, can he advertise? That would be a big no.
I don't think that that's how the ordinance is written, because we took it from Graham, and that Graham doesn't allow for that.
Can stay on.
Can he say welcome fisherman and have his name on it?
So
that's a good question.
Not particularly.
It says allowable banner topics: public service, community service, Chamber of Commerce events, tourism, advertising. Not permittable political information and real estate. So you can't say buy houses in Seymour.
Oh, so you can't advertise though.
But it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that specifically. It says tourism advertising.
So at that point in time, I can see that as saying welcome hunters. And because Coach's Farm and Ranch Supplies chose to partner in with the Chamber of Commerce, he can put his logo on it. He's not saying, come shop with me, but he is sponsoring that sign that's helping our town say.
That's what I
"Welcome
want to know.
Hunters."
I mean,
Yeah,
could,
that's
yeah,
what
could
I'm-
the Seymour Rodeo have 2 or 3 sponsors on there and has their name up there and says, welcome to the Seymour Rodeo or something?
That's up to y'all how you want the ordinance written. I don't believe TxDOT has any constraints on that specifically. Graham, which is who we took this from, they wrote public service, community service, Chamber of Commerce events, and tourism advertising. That's how theirs was listed.
And
So-
Coaches is a member of the Chamber of Commerce, so I can see with him wanting to take his own money and welcome the hunters, and they're not just going to shop at his store. They're going to go to your restaurants. They're going to stay in your Airbnbs and in your hotels. They're going to go to your grocery stores. I just think it's just a great opportunity for people to come into our town and see all that we have to offer.
Well, hey, Braden, did you guys put Coaches on the banner, or is it just it says Welcome Hunters and has y'all's logo on there somewhere? Right on. Yeah. I mean, I think that makes
Yeah,
sense.
but it
If
doesn't
they
say
sponsor-
shop at
No,
Coaches
no,
across
yeah,
it.
you just put their
So-
logo
Yeah,
on there
as long,
somewhere.
as long as the event is the central thing.
Yes.
Yeah,
And the other things are the add-ons, sponsored by Coaches, whatever.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that because if you wanted it done the other way, we just needed to add that language in there. So, I think it reads in that we all understand sponsorship as being an okay thing.
Mhm.
But if you want me to define it, then we can say no more than 30% of the banner can be filled with sponsorship information or something like that. So, but that would need to be passed when you okay the ordinance later on, so I can add that in there.
Okay.
So here is, I'm sorry, I don't know where this comes from, but it says the text of the sign. A sign approved for placement for a special event under subsection C of this section shall not contain commercial advertising, but may identify the event sponsor by name and the sponsor's trademark. The name of the event sponsor and sponsor's trademark shall be displayed less conspicuously than the event.
Okay. So that's like less than 50% of the, for example. Okay. So, okay, maybe add on there somewhere as per, as per TxDOT regulations.
And as a
Okay.
chamber, we'll be sure that as we advertise to our chamber members, if this is something that they want to do, that we will give them this language so that when they purchase their own banner, they purchase it correctly.
Thank you. Thank you. Sid, thank you for pointing that out. Appreciate it. Okay. Oh, sorry.
Is City of Seymour going to purchase the poles and put them in? We are?
Yes, initially we will have to purchase them. We can request reimbursement from the hotel occupancy board under signage if that's approved. If not, then we just eat the cost.
Seems like
They
that would
are-
be pure tourism right there. I mean,
They're $1,100 a piece.
Okay.
Plus we have to do anchors, guide wires. And so it's going to cost about $3,000 to
Right.
put the poles in.
do you, just off the top of your head, do you see a problem with the hot funds?
Man, don't ask me to tell you what the hot board's
Sorry,
gonna do.
I don't, but I won't ask you. Okay. What about anything else, Lynn?
Is the chamber going to be in charge of getting the banners? So if I wanted to, like the fire department would do the fundraiser for the Jerry Gummer Strip Feed, we go to the Chamber of Commerce.
You don't have to. You
And they get the banner for us?
The banner, it says in the ordinance that the banner is actually approved at City Hall. So myself or Dr. Brazier has to see the mock-up of the banner prior to it being installed. I would say even before purchase to make sure money is not ill spent, to ensure that it is what it meets the conformance that it needs to.
Well, and that it'll attach properly too. You need to.
I didn't know who to go to.
Yeah.
You're the chamber.
I mean,
so.
if chamber members want to coordinate with the chamber, they can, but it says in the ordinance that we still have to have final approval of the banner
Okay.
design.
Thank you. Thank you, Lynn.
Do what?
It says in the.
It says it
3 to
has to be 5 foot, 3 to 5 feet from curb to pole, and 5 foot from pole to anchor. If you want to come look at this diagram, you can if you want to see it. Yeah, that's just the diagram that we received from.
Yes. Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, it could always be modified by the state.
Okay. Let's see here. Consent agenda. Number 4. Any questions on that? Council?
I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same.
All in favor, say aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bonnie.
Thank you, Bonnie. That's 5-0. Excuse me. Okay.
Did you hear me, Mayor?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
At least you can hear us up here.
Well, I got you on my big screen TV.
Okay. Oh, no, that's not good. Okay. So that's approved. Consent agenda. Okay, action items. Number 10, discuss, consider, and take action to increase water base rate and price per 1,000 gallons. You see where I'm at? Number 10.
Oh, you skipped. Okay.
So this is not to make the decision tonight because this has to be done by ordinance and a public hearing is required. This is for us to have discussion, for you to ask questions, give us direction.
Okay. So anyone that would like to come up and discuss this is free to do so. Is that right? Correct.
Yes.
Okay. We're discussing right now, the water department is running a deficit, pretty large deficit. We're just trying to get it to break even. And anyway, this will come up again next month, and it'll be or will it be published or just in our next agenda?
If you choose that you do want to do the increase, then we'll do it by ordinance. That we'll have a public hearing published in the newspaper, and that public hearing information's on our website.
Okay.
We go through the normal channels that we always do.
Okay. All right. Anyone like to come up and discuss that? You're welcome to do so. The other is an action item number 11. Discuss, consider, and take action on the purchase of a water vehicle. Oh,
Y'all need to decide on number 10.
On 10?
We can at least
Okay.
move forward with that discussion and publish that in the paper and
Okay.
review that process.
So we need a motion to do what? Approve this or to
approve us to move forward with the ordinance to present to y'all next month.
next month? Right. We're not approving anything right now.
Correct. Well, and then the rates as well. So
Yes.
we talked about what it would take to generate the 100,000. Y'all could break that up however y'all wanted.
Right.
But we just thought the $5 on the meter fee
Right.
made sense because that's, guaranteed money. And then of course, when you talk about your usage fee, that's going to vary based on the amount of water that is used by the community. But looking at historical usage, we felt like that 30 cents would be in line.
All right. Someone like to make a motion? Do we have to mention the rate and the?
Yes.
Okay. $5 water tap fee or a meter fee and a $5.31.
Water rates have a base rate.
Yes.
And no matter, it's essentially a customer charge, but we call it a base rate. And so right now for residential base rate, it's $29.15. And for a commercial base rate, it's $36. So whatever you choose to go up on the base rate, it's fixed and it does not fluctuate with consumption.
Right.
So for people who are on a fixed income or they are very, particular about their finances, if you go up $3, it's only going to be $3. It's not $3 per gallon, it's $3. The increase on the per 1,000 gallons
Yes.
is based off consumption. There's good things and there's pros and cons to both.
we run about 1,270 meters, and that's a pretty consistent number. If you use the base rate to generate the funds that you need, then I can consistently say we're probably going to bring in this amount of revenue.
But we're not talking about doing both.
Well,
We
you
are-
can do a combination. You can do a little this, a little that, or you
Gotcha.
can do one or the other.
Gotcha.
But if we go by consumption,
Mhm.
then we're, at the mercy of the gods, so to speak. If the weather, if it
gotcha.
rains a lot,
You-
people
you-
don't use their
you
water.
can predict the $5
consumption-
thing is
Yes,
very predictable.
But the base rate is fixed, and we know per the meter what it's going to generate. So on page 70, where are we? 96. It originally in the packet that you were provided, it was a 21-cent increase, and it shows you on the bottom of that page how much that 21-cent increase would deliver. And then it was paired with the other base rate increase. And that was just to give you an example. That was the bare minimum, I would say, to like scratch the surface of trying to balance out. It's not like the super ideal number, but it was what was given to you in your packet.
And just to emphasize as well, we're not voting just on increasing the water rates. We're, you're making decisions on how this is going to impact the budget. So, if you say, no, we're not going to do that, Jeff, we want you to cut it 100,000, then that's going to, that's obviously going to create, a lot of challenges in some of your priorities and other things, such as an employee and maybe some other things, as far as redoing infrastructure, and wells. I mean, we'll just have to take a deep look at that, and some of those things will not happen. So,
Gotcha.
You said how many water taps or how many water accounts do we have right now?
We average about 1,270. If you look on page 96, where it does the January, the 23 and 24, that number that's above each month is the count of meters that we had.
Gotcha.
And so on an average, we have about 1,270.
Okay.
But to reiterate what Dr. Brazier said, if y'all choose not to do this, which is fine, but that tells us how we need to approach finishing the budget.
Well, that's.
You said, all right. Let me go back up here.
All right. Would anybody like to make a motion, create a motion? Combination of.
$1 on the base rate.
Hey, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Lauren can correct me if I'm wrong. I think back in 22, when we went up on these rates, we were still considerably lower on our water rates than any surrounding town around us. Is that correct, Lauren? Or
Yes,
am I
we were
mistaken?
we were forced by Texas Water Development Board. Initially, the very first time we increased our water rates, we were forced to because we couldn't get grant funds because our water rates were so low. And so we had to go up initially on that one. And the last time we went up was minimal. It was like 9 cents or something. That was directly related to the acid feed that Dr. Brazier mentioned, because acid costs had gone to like $90-something thousand, and we had to generate that money for that. But yes, you're right, Monty. The very first time we went up was because our rates were so low.
She said you were right,
We were
Monty.
required.
Okay.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Are we in discussion on this, or are y'all already in a motion?
No,
we're discussing.
We haven't. A motion has not been made yet.
Okay. Well, I've just got an opinion. I don't mind. Here's my vote. Matter of fact, I guess I'm gonna spit it out there. I don't mind going up and getting with everybody else to keep our water to these citizens, and keeping those wells active. That's going to help our water, tremendously to keep our citizens with water.
Yeah, well, that's kind of where I'm looking at this. We've got a lot of project. We're trying to get some. We've gotten some wells back online, but there are more that need to come back online. Just to,
absolutely.
At some point we're going to have a drought. We're trying to get those wells in the north part of Seymour going so that we can, really just not have to be as stressed as we've been sometimes with not having some wells working. So,
Absolutely, absolutely.
yeah.
Thank you.
You bet. Anyone else? Anyone out here? You're welcome to weigh in. Yeah, we don't have a handout on that as far as I know.
Yes, at our next meeting, we can create a lot more data, a lot more
Okay.
information if the council chooses
Okay.
to at least move forward to discover this a little bit more deeply and get feedback
Okay.
from our community. If we can provide it. And if you have anything specifically, any community member can call City Hall and talk to us or sit down with us by themselves. Just whatever they want, we'll make sure they have that information.
Okay. Yes, ma'am, if you'll.
Rebecca Golding.
Yes.
I have an accounting background. How can you put something in the newspaper and everything if you haven't even had time to analyze your split? Like she said, it's up to 5 cents or 2 cents or 3 cents or $1. How can you put something in the newspaper when you guys haven't even taken the time to go over it?
Yeah, it's been analyzed. We've had our water department supervisors.
It sounded like you just got it.
No, we've had it. Anyone else? Yeah. Bob, I'm going to quote you here, unless you want to come up and talk. You're indicating we're still below typical water rates in the area. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Yeah. We've kind of fallen behind. And like I say, Dr. Brazier, I don't know if that number is $100,000 deficit. Is that the number or close to the number we've come up with?
Yes,
Okay.
approximately. So it's not
Okay.
an exact number, but yes.
Yeah. So instead of at least breaking even or generating some income from this, we're not. It's in a negative position. So.
And I mentioned that too, and I didn't make that clear earlier, is that, we do have what was called the water loss rate. And we're still trying to identify what that is, because it will never be zero. Every time you have a leak, sometimes leaks go undetected. There's a lot of different variables that can come into play. But, just our initial projections of that water loss is a big problem within itself.
Yes.
So you can create a budget and anticipate certain revenues, but if you're treating and producing all this water and it never reaches the meter, then that is what we consider our water loss. And that is something else that we're going to have to factor into. And I think that plays a significant role. If you look at this from a 5 foot or 500 or 5,000 foot level, we have a lot of infrastructure issues that have to be addressed, from our RO plant to our distribution system to our wells, and that's expensive. And those costs continue to grow and grow and grow. And so the idea of us maintaining a flat rate, over 5 or 10 year period of time, and then your rates continue to increase, you can see that gap continues to grow and grow and grow. And I feel like that's kind of where we are now. We're 2 balls behind the 8 ball. Yeah. And so now we're trying to play catch up. And so in order to make that happen, is the reason why we're bringing this to y'all's consideration.
Well, and you hear about it all the time, but the inflation thing that's kind of hit the country, these rates haven't gone up in 2 years, since 2022. And everything's just more expensive, and we've stayed static on this for a while. Anyway, we can.
Well, just to clarify, I know there's not handouts or any kind of documentation, but some of the work and some of the notes from Dr. Brazier and from the water supervisors, that if we don't look at these relatively small increases to help mitigate those budget problems, they won't be able to afford an extra employee for one of the major projects they have coming up to help with the sewage system and the lines that are outdated. Things like the crane truck that they're looking to purchase for the water department to help them maintain our water department as we have right now. And like Monty said, keep those wells open for if another drought comes along. So if we don't look at these numbers and look to raise them, even though we don't have, like I said, the documentation or the notes from Dr. Brazier and supervisors over at the water department, these things can't be done if we're in a deficit. So then we just get more and more outdated in our water department, which whenever a drought comes along, we end up having to buy water and bring it in for the citizens instead of being able to provide for us with what we have like it's meant to be. So those things are what we have to consider and take into consideration for the new budget year and things like that. So.
All right. Thank you. All right. Looking for a motion. This would be considered at the next meeting, is that correct, to either do it or not do it, right? Okay.
We'll have to post an ordinance, a public hearing in the paper with the rates that y'all chose, so the public will know
Yes.
what those
Yes.
rates are before you pass them, if you pass them.
Okay. Is anybody for or against the $5 meter increase?
I'm against.
Okay, Councilman Wynn is no.
So, all right, the $5 increase, that's one of the options. What other options are there that can help mitigate this? I mean, you just can't be a black and white number. What's the window? Like, what's going to be the best to help this? I mean, other than the $5, like, what's probably more or less hit on the citizens, basically.
Well, either way you spin it, we're looking at $100,000 of revenue is what we're looking at. So your only other option is that you're going to need to cut. So if y'all say no, then we're going to have to cut that employee. Again, looking at maybe some of the projects that we're going to do, the RO plant, some of the water well projects, we're just going to cut that. So they just won't happen is what's going to happen. And then just to be blunt, we're just going to continue to get further and further behind in improving our infrastructure. So we're going to pay now, we're going to pay later. That's just the way I feel about it. And I don't want to pay higher water rates. I water a lot, so I know what that looks like. But I do know that if our infrastructure continues to go backwards, again, from our distribution system to our RO plant to our water wells, and we don't, it's like buying a new house. You can, or any house, you can build a house, and if you don't, replace your filters and you don't do all this maintenance and upkeep, in time your house is going to fall apart. And that's kind of direction that I feel like that we're going in some areas. So we can pay now, or we can wait later, and then we're going to be forced to do things, and it may even be higher. May require taking out a significant loan. So anyway, you can peel it however you want, and we're willing to accept that and make it happen.
So up here on page 3 or 6 on the PDF, where the action item says the council will need to consider raising the water rates by the dollar base rate of the 9 cents per 1,000 gallons. Was that number not high enough to close that gap, or that is high enough? So.
It's not high enough. I think I initially put that after we looked at that a little bit closer and looked at that number and where we are at the budget. That's when I came back and
okay.
Yeah, so
I didn't know what number that.
I mean,
would help
anything
us
you do
get there.
will help.
Will help, yeah.
Yeah, but that would be the.
What would the water usage number be? I've asked this like twice, and I can't.
30 cents.
30?
30 cents.
30 cents.
Yeah.
So the number would be
$5 on the base rate and 36 cents.
Yeah, it'd be $34.15 on the base rate and $5.31, $5.32 on the usage.
Okay, $5.31. All right. Does anybody want to?
You have a citizen at the podium.
Oh, sorry, Paula. Would you introduce yourself and make your comment, please?
Paula Vaden, citizen. Approximately how many water accounts do we have?
She said about 1,200.
Approximately 1,250, something like that, give or take. It changes every day.
So just with adding a $5 fee per month per water meter is an extra 75,000. And then you're going to up also the usage. Okay.
The usage would get us to the $100,000 figure deficit. Cover that, hopefully.
Yeah, projection wise, yeah. Depends on how much, again, what our usage is.
Yes.
Well,
Exactly.
that number can vary too, because
Exactly.
water usage, but
yes. Yeah, the meter thing is far more predictable. Okay, we can, anyone else out here would like to speak on it? If not, if no one wants to make a motion to do this, yes. Oh, Chase. If you'll introduce yourself, I'm not sure who you are. Chase Hoyt, Supervisor of the Water Department. If you'll speak right into that mic too, if you would, or pull it out of there.
You can take it out.
Yeah.
This is really just this is half of what we wanted to go up on. This is, if we were to go up the full percent, what we want to do, I can't remember the number, but that's the break even. We're going down by half, just as, because it's more of a moral thing. Like, let's go up half and let's see if we can help our water loss, see if we can maybe find some things. I've been looking at other alternatives of how we can recover water. There's really not a lot of things we can do. I've called other cities about, water loss audits and stuff like that. Like I was talking to Abilene, theirs is like 7 to 11%. We're looking at like 37%. And this has always been a thing, and we're just looking at, all these different, ways can maybe improve it. And so that was another reason why we didn't want to go, fully all the way to the point where we're breaking even, because if we go up by half and then we do maybe find a few things that we could maybe bring down that percent, maybe we would break even after a couple of years. But we can't do things like that. I've got 3 guys in my department, so we're doing water and wastewater, fixing water lines, doing the lead and copper service inventory, where we're all day, every day, we're looking in meters, looking for material. We've got a lot of things on our plate. We've got the water well line that we're wanting to put in. That's 2,500 feet. We got to stop every time we get a call, put down what we're doing, put cones up, go do that, come back, and when we got 4 guys instead of 3, we can keep 2 guys on the job that we can depend on. The other 2 guys can go knock out the 30 things that need to be done throughout the day. Like I said, I was talking about City of Abilene. They've got a few different ways of, looking for leaks. They've got like an actual, looks like a locator. They walk down the road and they can hear it. They've got like a little deal, and they can hear it, and they can pinpoint leaks and maybe mark it. We can mark it on our maps, and we can get to it when we can. The Texas Water Development Board, they've got a free deal where they'll send it to us, and we can use it for 30 days and then return it. And that's directly because of water loss audits. They're trying to help the cities, not, so anyway, that. I was just letting you know that we are working on it. I mean, it's quite the ordeal. We're talking about, I know this sounds bad, but 100,000 gallons a day is what it averages out to. But when you think about it, like, that's really 10 water hoses running. It's not a crazy amount when you think of it that way. It's still bad to me. And, I'm sure y'all know that, gophers, we got gophers and we got sand. So a lot of these water leaks never surface. So when we got a water leak, we get to it when we can, but it's normally same day, or, if it's blowing out the road, I mean, it's right then. But
so you're saying a smaller increase, which is what's being proposed here, in conjunction with finding this water loss and maybe getting one of these machines or being able to use one.
Yes.
But then you're dealing with how many people do you work with? 3?
Yeah, 3 total, including me.
Yeah, gotcha.
So,
gotcha.
I just there's a lot of things to do, and we're getting to them when we can, but there's always something. There's always a nightmare every day.
Yes.
Something comes up, or
you never know what's coming at you.
Yeah. So,
all right. Thank you, Jason. Okay, we need to move forward, or this will, there'll be no action on this.
Mayor,
Yes.
you're about 3 or 4 seconds behind me, or actually, I'm behind you, I guess. I want to make a motion. Is it too late?
No, that's where we're at.
I want to make a motion to do the $5.31 and go up on the base rate.
Okay.
Because I guarantee you, I don't want to have to go without water. Same as I don't want to have to go without electricity. And I know we're not on electricity, but people's griping and complaining because the electricity's high. Try to live without it. Try to live without that water. That's my motion.
Okay, I'm going to leave that last part out, but
Yes, sir.
okay. Did y'all, Lauren, did you get that? Did everybody hear that? $5. Councilman Glass made a motion to increase the say again.
Base rate.
So the base rate's going to go up to $5.
To $5,
and the
right.
per 1,000 gallons will go to $5.31 as
Okay.
proposed. That's the motion. I'm just to
Okay,
confirm.
has everybody got that? Understand that?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Well,
Do you have a
excuse
second?
me. Say again.
Gotta have a second.
Okay, does anybody make a second? Excuse me. No, anybody want to make a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Yes.
Got a second from Councilman Skylar Henry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Do you want to vote?
Monty.
Monty?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay, all opposed say no.
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 Billy, did you vote? He said aye. Okay. 3 ayes and 2 nays. So it will go on the,
It'll go on the next agenda
Right.
and we'll post a public hearing and it will be written up as an ordinance. And then I'll have to check. We may have to do it 2 public hearings.
okay.
Uh,
But this
I'll
will have to be
verify
voted
that.
on again, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it can still be modified, changed,
Yes.
discussed.
Or you can just change it completely and not do it next meeting.
That's what I
But
mean.
you're giving us direction to write the ordinance up and
Gotcha.
present it back to you next month.
Okay. Let's move forward. Oh, excuse me.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yes, sir.
The $5 infrastructure fee, what's that going for? Is it still going for the water tower?
That was initially put in place for the water tower, correct? But not all of that money over the last few years has been going since at the end of that 10 years, it's been going into a fund. And so what we were planning on using that money for, because it had built up a little bit, is to use that to help put one of those water lines or water wells back online. So yes, yeah. And it's going to take every bit of that and then some. And then at that point, we was going to come back to y'all and see about going in with another contract with Viking, because some of our water tanks at the RO plant have not been refurbished. And in the next 2 to 5 years, that fresh water tank is going to be to the end of its, well, I was saying of its life, but it's going to have some major reconstruction, and that is going to be a very costly project. So John and I have worked for a long time with Viking to come up with an agreement that we want to present to y'all. And we're just not prepared to do that at this moment, but that's what we would like to use. That the rest of that remainder fee is to kind of like we do with our water tower, so that at the end of that 3 or 4 years, whenever it's ready, then we will have the money to refurbish that tank. Because if we don't, we're going to be in big trouble, and we've got to have that fresh water.
That tank is, I think, number maybe John Davis may could correct me on this, but we're $250,000, maybe more, something like that. Okay. So we're just talking about major expenses that have been deferred for quite a while.
That is correct.
Okay. All right, let's move on. Discuss, consider, and take action on the purchase of a water vehicle. Would Chase want to come up and talk?
I'll talk about that. And Chase can help me, because I think definitely he has some insight that he
Okay.
needs and should share with y'all. So, but Chase has been looking around at a lot of different dealerships to trying to find a vehicle that will meet their needs. And we talked a lot about that last month. But this particular vehicle that I think that he's wanting is from Sewell. It's a 2024 Ram 3500 chassis cab, body type, crew cab. I believe it's a four-wheel drive, and they did come down on the cost of that. And so the current estimate is $97,429.08. To let y'all know, we've had a vehicle fund that's been building. In that fund currently, there's about $44,000 in that fund. We also have $24,763 of ARPA money that we can add to that. And so that would leave us with a balance of about $28,760. We do have some money unspent right now in the auto plant that we could use to make that purchase. So essentially out of this particular budget, you're looking at about a $29,000 expense.
Chase, have you looked through a lot of these vehicles and stuff? The thing, let me just throw this in right quick, that I didn't realize, we're having to depend on a private contractor when we need to pull a pump, that our crane on the back of your present vehicle is not rated or is not strong enough to get that pump out. Is that right?
Yes, sir, most of the time.
Okay, most of the time. Okay, and didn't mean
We
to
at
interrupt
least-
you, but
we
go
at least
ahead.
attempt it before,
Yes,
but
yes, and then you're in the position of waiting until they've got time to do it.
yes, sir.
Okay,
Which they're normally, they don't, I mean,
they understand
when
it's.
we got a problem, they come
Gotcha.
out. It's never been a problem, but
Okay,
it's just, it's costly every time.
yeah. All right. What was the final cost of the truck? Did we?
97.4.
Now, last time we discussed this, am I right in thinking the dealership, you can't, I mean, they're quoting you that price, but if you're ready to buy right then, it could possibly be maybe 10% less.
It was originally 99, where we got it down to 97, but I think if we were to come to them with a,
Yes.
you know, I would like to obviously get it down more because it's
Yes.
ridiculous.
Say,
But,
we're ready to purchase this vehicle, we'll pay you $90,000,
yeah,
something like that.
We've looked, and I've looked for probably 2 or 3 months now, and that's pretty much the best price that we've gotten so far. But like I said, I mean, like you said, you know, coming to them with, you know, cash in hand,
Yes.
that might be a better,
Yes.
you know.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
I'm not really the guy for that.
Dr. Brazier's a wheeler dealer down here. He can make a deal. And then the crane's strong enough to do whatever we need to do.
3,500 pound crane, which is pretty, or 3,000, whichever it is. I've looked at a lot, but it's obviously well overqualified. But nobody really sells anything less than that now. It's more just, you know, that's kind of the standard. So we really don't need that, except, you know, if we were to get a 2,000 pound crane, I'm sure we need to list something 3,000 pounds tomorrow.
Yes.
So
You want to be over prepared, I would think. New vehicle warranty, whatever that is.
Yes, sir.
It goes with it. Okay. Anything else you want to add on that, or?
Supposedly the guy we were talking to was Sewell, or I think it's Sewell. The actual bed that got put on it was some guys out of San Angelo. They've been doing it for a long time. They also have a warranty on that bed and crane. So I don't really know what the stipulations are for that, but supposedly they also honor their addition to the truck.
Gotcha. We probably would keep this vehicle that you're using now for that. Just
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's
back
actually
up.
our wastewater plant supervisor's truck. So he
All
would
right.
continue driving that, and we might still use it. I mean, obviously, if
Okay.
we need to, or, you know, something's too small, we don't really need the big
Okay.
crane, or if it's in use, pulling the back trailer. So
All right. Any discussion from the council? Questions? Mr. Hoyt?
Based on what we've talked about several times now and what's in the packet, we have the money for it in the budget.
Yes, that's why I gave you all the current balance
Yeah,
sheet. So we've worked real hard on that this week, and we feel confident that we're in good shape.
Yeah.
All right.
we've also talked about maybe selling this other truck that we've got. I don't think we would ever get the money that it's worth for it. We couldn't buy that truck for what somebody's going to buy that, you know, that if we wanted to buy the exact same truck, it'd be, but you know, there's a couple departments that need a truck like that, you know. I know we wouldn't really make money on giving that to a department, but I think it'd be better.
Your newest vehicle is a 2014, is that right? Something like that?
2008 maybe.
2008?
It trends down considerably from there.
Yeah. It goes down from there.
Well, they got a 2008 and then a 2006, a 2004, and a 2002.
I must have been thinking 2004. Sorry.
And the average mileage on those is about 110, 15,000.
Okay. All right. Well, all right. Would anyone like to make a motion on this? To
Yeah,
do this?
I'll make a motion that we approve the purchase of the vehicle.
Okay.
That's in the
Got a-
packet for the water department.
All right.
I second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Did you say no? Ah, okay.
Monty said aye.
Monty's, I'm sorry, I was hearing.
He did.
I couldn't tell where that was coming from. Okay, it's 5-0. Okay, thank you. Let's go to discuss, consider, and take action number 12 on the hot funds operating protocols. And I think Lauren worked on this and got some things pulled together. And to again, I'm paraphrasing, you can correct me, but to make things run more smoothly and more organized because there was a lack of structure there, basically.
That is correct. So yeah, again, we just need some operating protocols. The council appoints the board, and they expect us then to review those applications for those hot funds. And in case there is an issue, then we have some rules that we can follow to help us ensure that there's no questions.
Okay. Is anyone like to speak on that? Hot fund people or chamber people or anybody? I think I've read it, and it's way better than what was there because there wasn't much there, honestly, and gives us some guidelines and rules and that kind of thing. So, yeah, go ahead. Kathy Woolbright, who is the Chamber of Commerce Executive Director, is coming, and go right ahead.
I haven't seen or read that. I would like to. But we definitely, as the director of that hot board, I definitely think we have to have rules to go by. And I don't want to be in a predicament I've been in the past. So I want to make sure that happens, but I'd like to see that.
You haven't seen them?
No.
Oh, okay.
But even if not, I guess she has not, we can always modify those. So if y'all approve those, at least we have something. If Kathy wants to add anything, we can bring that back to y'all and modify those and add anything that, we feel would make it run more smoothly.
Okay.
Nothing's etched in stone. So
can we get some to Kathy tomorrow?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Kathy. All right. Would anybody like to make a motion on this? And we can modify these as Kathy, if you see something that's out of whack, then let's come back and we'll do what we need to do.
Mayor, I make a motion for the hot fund operating protocols.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Make that 5-0. That came from the panhandle somewhere, I think. Number 13, discuss, consider, and take action on dilapidated properties, 908 North Main, 1007 North Main. And I've got a couple of questions on this. These are properties that have already been condemned. Is that right, Lauren? I mean, a year ago.
Yes, it's listed on 113 in your packet. It shows, 113. The order to repair, remove, or demolish, that was for 1007 North Main. At the time that, if you'll skip down to page 116, the March 16th, 2023 minutes were provided to you where we asked the owner to come to a city council meeting, and we gave them 180 days for the abatement. The abatement did not happen per the owner's agreement. We issued citations. And then on page 115 is the full demolition ready structure paperwork that was finished November 27th of 2023. We've had some in the wings buyers. So
Right.
to prevent the city from taking on the loss of the tear down, we kept thinking that property would sell, and it hasn't yet. So, but that property has been condemned. The 1007 was ordered to be abated. The property owner did not abate it. That property has since condemned itself to some degree. It's on the ground now. It's no longer a standing structure. So I believe that that one can be completed through a junk and debris abatement order.
So as far as giving notice, I mean, we would give them notice that we're going on the property, but as far as
So
30
on
days or something like that, that wouldn't be necessary.
the junk and debris abatement is a 30-day notice where we tell them in 30 days on this day, we will enter your property and we will abate this. If you don't have it done by then,
Oh, okay.
we will do it and then we will bill you.
Okay.
But it's very specific. On this date, we will enter the property. So we have to make sure that we have decided on a cleanup date.
Okay.
The demolition notice for the 908 is ready to be posted. I have to staple it to the building and spray paint
Okay.
a demolition date on it, or a section of time.
Okay.
So those things still have to be done to complete it.
All right. Is everybody familiar where these properties are? You know, does everybody know? Next door to the Long Branch. Bonnie, are you getting this?
Who owns the 908 again?
I'm
Or,
sorry.
yeah, the property.
Are you getting this that we're talking about, those
It's
two
owned
properties?
by an estate.
Yes.
The Brazier,
of
or
it-
Brazier,
of-
the
That's what I
they're
thought.
dead.
The,
And there's
and this
no
is
the Jake
heirs.
Wilden, the old
They've all been
restaurant
notified.
thing,
Right.
taking it off, and the other one that next to the Long Branch there.
Yes.
Okay.
We're paying to do this, right?
We're,
And then
we're gonna get bids on this. Is that what we're thinking of doing?
which process are we doing on this one again?
Well, I think it'd be good to get bids, and I've already sought and talked to, at least one contractor. So, yeah.
Okay, just put it out and whatever the time limit is on that, and then they've got, we look at it the next meeting or.
Yes, y'all can look at the bids, and we could choose to do that ourselves or
Okay.
have the contractor do it. So
Okay,
the-
we don't
y'all-
have to take these bids. If they come in something kind of extravagant, we might just do it ourselves.
Correct.
Okay.
No, I doubt it.
Maybe when you make your motion, if y'all want to, it needs to say go out for bids.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
citizens. Yeah.
That y'all include in your motion that you want us to go out for bids for the demolition, because that's not necessarily what's written on the agenda.
So are there behind taxes on this property?
Okay, we've got Paula
which
Baden
one?
about to speak.
The
We
one
get our
by
time started.
the Long Branch.
The 908, I'm sure, but we don't own it. So,
Yes, okay, so I'm just trying to help y'all.
so when we do the tear down, we put the lien on the property. Is the
That's
plan.
right. And if there has not been taxes paid on it, and the family does not sell it to where you can get your money out of that sale that the family sells it, my tax lien trumps yours and you won't get anything. So
And that's
y'all will
kinda
be out
good.
that money.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure y'all.
We've
know.
been out before, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I got paid.
No, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the property across the street was the one where you have the copy of the minutes where we gave him 180 days to fix the problem. If not, we told him he was going to get fined monthly until then. Yes, yeah, the ETT property. Yeah, so was there ever any follow-up on those fines? I mean, was there monthly fines? Because I know that was part of the agreement.
So I am aware of 2 citations that were issued, and direction was given to issue citations on a monthly basis.
Monthly basis, and only 2. And this is coming from 180 days from March, so.
As far as I know, only 2 have been issued. The owner was very claimed that we could not issue more than 1 citation on the property and said that he would get a lawyer if we did, though clearly in subsection
That's definitely false,
2.105 or whatever it says, we can get fined daily.
Daily, yes.
And
yeah.
so I don't know if they've been stuck in municipal court, which could possibly have happened because he can say he wants a jury trial or he can pay for them and they.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they've done in municipal court. I haven't seen but 2.
I think the idea is just to remediate that property, get it out, but I know what you're saying.
No, I want them back. I want those
You
fines.
want 'em-
I want them cited for every month that we're supposed to be cited for. I
The
want 'em-
2 that I know where he was cited, he paid for them.
That's
did?
fine, but that's 2 out of, we're starting, but that should have started in what, September of 2023, right? Almost a year worth of
12.
citation. 180 days, 6 months, whatever that is. So September-ish or whatever, October. That's almost a year's worth of citations that he should have got. That's money that should be coming into us based on code violations that the city council it definitely said to do. And then it just got kind of falling through the cracks.
So I don't issue citations.
Right.
I cannot write a citation.
Yeah, of course. I just meant, and I mean, it was council. It was, I think, what was it saying here? Council, and wasn't it you, Glenn, or whoever it was? It was the council. Either way, said fine.
We gave him some time
to try to
to
fix
do
the
it.
problem.
I gave him 180 days and he went and knocked it down and I guess he thought that was cleanup. He knocked it to the ground and leveled it, but debris still sitting there.
I thought the wind knocked it down.
I think
I thought he
knocked it
moved a
down.
trailer or something, then it just fell.
Yeah.
Just kind of let
Trailer-
nature take its course.
trailer's
Either way, I
holding
just
it.
was wanting to follow up on that because it's kind of like one of those things where if the council has a directive and we say we want them fined and we want the problem taken care of, and then it's like we did it for a couple of months and then kind of forgot about it, then what's the point of us giving you directives? If you know what I mean? If something like that happens, and I'm not saying you two directly, just saying in general. You know what I mean?
I agree.
And
Gonna make a trade.
what? Who writes the citations? It would be the code
The
officer,
police
right?
officers.
The police
No,
officer, yeah.
Let's go.
all of our citations are issued by peace
The
officers.
police, yeah. So
All right. Thank you, Skylar. We will follow, I guess. Lauren will see where we're at, how much he has, how many
Well,
citations
the
have been
problem with it
issued.
is if we would have been citing him monthly, maybe it would have pushed him to take care of the problem instead of letting it go this time. And now we're having to float the bill to take care of this problem. So we could be spending this money elsewhere to take down another dilapidated property whenever he should have handled this within the 180 days. So it's kind of like, what's the point of having these discussions with citizens who are doing this if they're not going to take care of it? That's why I'm kind of frustrated.
No,
by it,
I totally get it. It's you're trying to overcome an unwillingness of somebody to
Well, yeah,
follow.
if somebody quit finding me, I probably wouldn't worry about it either. I'd be like, well, they quit caring about it, so I quit caring about it, whatever. Just leave it.
We're back on it, so
Yeah.
we need to. Does anyone have a motion on these two properties to go forward with them?
I make a motion, we go forward to getting a bid.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll
Let's
second
tear 'em
that.
down.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we've got 5-0. Let's go to number 14. Billy Henrys.
Skylar second.
Okay, number 14, discuss, consider, and take action on purchase of a new police vehicle. As I recall, we had the money, then we didn't have the money, or it was approved, and then the money wasn't available, but now the money is available, a part of the money, 50%. Is that right, Dr. Brazier?
Yes, we had written a grant, and they initially said that was going to get the grant, and then it was never funded. So he told me we didn't, and but then he actually called me about a month ago and said we did get the money, and so therefore we shopped around, and Interim Police Chief Mr. Sawyer identified a vehicle that's in your packet there. The total cost of that vehicle is where did my numbers go? $47,900. It's a 2023 Tahoe four-wheel drive. To get it completely outfitted, well, not completely, but it was $21,989 for a total cost of $69,889. The USDA will pay for 55% of the bill, so which would be $38,500. The city's portion of that, I think, would be $31,389.
That's fully outfitted.
Correct.
Okay.
Not fully. I still think we have to add the wrap to that, and there might be a few other things that they'd have to add. So,
okay, but that would get us the car.
The car and mostly outfitted. Yes.
Okay. It is a
The Tahoe?
Yes.
Is that going to be the chief vehicle? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Just making sure I know which car to look out for.
All right. Any discussion out here on the council? Councilman Glass?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
Mayor, make a motion, we approve the purchase of the new police vehicle.
Motion by Wynn.
I second.
Second.
Motion, okay, Glass from miles away. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oh. Why did I say aye? Okay. Number 15, discuss, consider, and take action to pass resolution 1572, decommissioning of Chief Griffin's gun. And I think Dr. Brazier has looked at the legalities of all this, and if you'd like to speak about that, why don't you?
Yes, I gave you a lot of information in your council packets. This required a lot of homework, including a visit with legal counsel. First of all, we told we couldn't do it, then this way, that way. So we were getting all kinds of information. So we ended up reaching out to legal counsel. And so anyway, I've outlined what she has stated. That is a Smith & Wesson 9mm model 5906, and that was purchased for Chief Griffin when he first joined the police force in, I believe, in 1988. And I think he's had that gun or carried that gun throughout that time. But anyway, they just said that the council, including everything else you said though too, but if you make your motion, you need to understand that I did a Google search, and a Smith & Wesson 9mm model would run about $555. So she did state that it had to be at a market price. So I don't know what y'all want to do with that, but I'm just conveying what legal counsel said. Y'all just can't give it to him, or you can't just sell it for $1. She did say that it had to be at market price, and then we have to follow these other protocols and procedures, including passing the resolution.
Market price. You can't just. Why do we even bring it up?
Decommission. I'll make a motion.
Well, we're going to have to decommission it at least.
So the resolution is about decommissioning the gun.
Yes.
But if y'all want to sell it to him, then that would also have to be considered. So you're saying we can't do that. So we might have to come back on the next agenda, maybe because it's not listed specifically on the agenda. So.
Okay. It would be decommissioned as of
Tonight.
29th,
I believe tonight.
whenever his retirement date is.
Yes.
Okay.
So do
But then
you have
again,
to
y'all do-
say that
Right.
it needs to be decommissioned the 29th or tonight? Okay.
So. Right.
Yeah.
So we could decommission it tonight, as far as that goes. Okay.
But in order to present it to him, I'm just telling you what the attorney says, then y'all have to sell it to him at a market value rate. That's all I'm trying to say.
We wouldn't necessarily have to put it up for bids. If he wants it at a price somewhere around there that he could just buy it directly from the city, as long as these papers are, he presents his identification and all that stuff.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Do I have a motion?
Oh, I make a motion to,
Decommission?
to pass the resolution 1572, decommissioning Chief Griffin's gun.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's 5-0. Okay, we've that's really the only thing that was on there, actually. Gotcha. Thank you. Number 16, discuss and take action to review and approve the proposed tax rate as explained by Paula Baden, certified tax appraiser for Baylor County Appraisal District. She gets to talk.
Paula Baden, tax assessor
Speak right into
collector.
that microphone.
It's Paula Baden, it's tax assessor collector. When you're talking about tax rates, chief appraiser in training is on the appraisal side. Tax assessor collector is on the tax rate side.
Gotcha.
That's our budget. I don't know if y'all have ever seen the allocation payments. Y'all are the second to the lowest of what y'all give to the budget. It's all about what you bring in. Do you have any questions on that? until all the entities decide what their tax rates are. So your no new revenue rate, which is bringing about approximately the same revenue you brought in last year, is 0.398585, which is lower than what you adopted last year. But when appraised values go up and you keep the tax rate at the same, you'll get more money. So when appraised values go up and you want to bring in about the same revenue, the tax rate goes down. The voter approval tax rate is 0.4234579. That's going to bring you about an extra $32,000 approximately. That is the voter approval rate. The de minimis rate is 0.8657718. You are allowed to go up to that, but you run the risk of somebody filing and doing an injunction. And what will happen is a lot of refunds will go out. You do not have to go, you can go up to the voter approval rate, but you do not have to pick that number. You can stay in between those two numbers. I think a lot of people get confused about, oh, I have to pick this number or that number. You can pick any number in between the no new revenue rate and the voter approval rate without the risk of somebody filing an injunction on you.
So the 0.4234579 rate is one that would possibly come before the voters. Is that
No,
what it would
you
not?
can go to that number.
Without-
That's just stating that is the voter approval rate. That is going to be your maximum.
Okay.
You can go up to.
Gotcha. And due to increased values, appraised values and such, it's going to bring in, at the same rate, it's going to bring in more than it did last year, right? Is that what we're?
So if you go with the voter approval rate, since appraised values did go up, because they're still going to go up, are the cost of houses with what they're selling for is there still. I don't know why. So as long as the sales are going up, so we're all of the appraised values. If you want to bring in about the same as you did last year, that's when the no new revenue rate comes in. Or you can pick somewhere in between.
I think Mark was asking, and just to clarify, we can go up to that voter approval rate before we have to put
Yes.
it out and get a vote and get the public to vote on it. If
Correct.
we go over that, that's when they have to vote.
No,
right?
you can, I mean, you can go above that. You run it in the paper, but you have the
Right.
risk of somebody filing an injunction on
Correct,
you.
yeah. That's what he was trying to say. How far what's the number before it's like,
That
okay, we're
voter
good?
approval rate.
Gotcha. 0.4234579. All right. Have any discussion out? Questions for Ms. Vaden? We do this, I think, every year. It's something that we've got to do. Thank you, Paula. If this rate drops down a little, it's going to create, you would think, about the same amount of revenue because of the increased values. If you leave it right, basically where it's at, it's going to bring in an additional about $32,000. So any thoughts, Skylar? Put you on the spot.
I guess the way it's written kind of in the agenda is that we're going to take action and review and approve it, what's proposed by you, Paula. And so I know we have the documentation and stuff like that. And I guess I'm not sure if the silence is because we're all just reviewing it and trying to double check, or it's because we're kind of wondering about your recommendation for it. You know what I mean? Just a little more information on what you think's the best course of action, because it's to be proposed by the assessor. Oh yeah, I'm talking to you. I'll bring you back up here again.
Is yes, I do get to decide the appraised values. The great thing about your job is, because I already get hated enough during the springtime, it is y'all's job to pick the tax rate. I cannot advise you what is best for yours. That's their job.
Dr. Brazier.
So, we've been looking at going with the voter approval rate and building the budget on that. So, if we choose not to do that, then that's going to add another $30,000 deficit, to the budget. So it's just more cuts. So
You said we've been building the budget off of the
voter approval
rate,
right? Which I believe is about the same as last year. So
right, yeah.
So it's still actually dropping, I think, about 0.012 cents anyway. So we're seeing a small reduction there, but it is generating additional dollars that we can really do some good things better and improve our city.
Being at the appraisal board meetings and knowing how it's kind of going or whatever, if you've noticed on your tax statements, everybody's houses, their value is going up, whether we like it or not. And if being at those, it's really more of the state pushing that. We were below every year for so many years, and then it caused an audit and caused the whole issue at the appraisal district.
So
And they forced us to increase the rates across Baylor County and in the city to hit a certain number or within a certain percentage to be compliant with state regulations.
You're talking about the appraised value.
We're talking about appraised values, which
Right.
directly affects this tax rate. I
Right.
mean, so this number isn't necessarily, like you said, it's a little bit lower than what we adopted last year, but it's still going to help the city and the other entities make more money on that tax rate because the appraised values went up.
Right.
I mean, that's why it's helping our budget, or that's why we're operating off of it.
And the thing about it is, if you go with the voter approval rate, you're going to have a public hearing and you'll come back and then adopt that tax rate next month.
Right.
You can go down. You just can't go up. So
Yeah.
anyway, so it gives y'all still more time to consider. So if y'all go with the voter approval rate, at least gives us a little flexibility next month. So that's not set in stone.
So what was-
so you're not actually approving the tax rate. You're just adopting a proposed rate. So we can put that in the paper and then we can have a public hearing on it next month.
You said this voter approval is like a decimal point or smaller than like a thousandth or 10,000th less than what it was last year, right?
I believe that's right.
Your tax rate
It
last
should be
year.
right here somewhere. Yeah.
0.436250 last
Yeah,
year.
yeah, there it is.
Any other questions for Paula? She's not going to make a recommendation. I can tell you that, right?
Yeah,
now.
no, not really a recommendation. More just like a, yeah.
No,
I
mean,
kind of said what I
You want to bring in
wanted
the
you to say,
same,
yeah.
go with no
We're
new
gonna
revenue
wait
rate.
till you
You
go
want to
sit
bring in
down.
a little bit more, you go with the voter
We're gonna,
approval.
just in case we have another question, we want you to go sit down, so you have to walk back up.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Baden. Do I have a motion?
I'll
on
make a
this?
motion that we accept the voter approval rate, tax rate.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Hendricks. I have a second. All in favor, say aye. Okay. 5-0.
It's Land was second.
Okay.
Councilman Wynn, sorry.
Let's go to number 17. Discuss, consider, and take action to go out for bids on dozer repair. And I think that's about $30,000. Dr. Brazier?
Well, we think the higher end bid will be about 30,000, but because it's over that 15 threshold, we need approval from the council to see if y'all want us to what y'all want to do with that dozer? Do we want to sell it? Do we want to fix it? And if so, we need to go out for bids in order to fix that track. And of course, y'all know that that dozer is not used a lot, but it is very important for us when we tear down houses, push brush. So, I mean, it is used, and I do think it's a valuable tool, but I know that's a heavy price tag. But even if you didn't fix it and you tried to sell it, my understanding, I'm sure Lynn knows a whole lot more about dozers than I do, but that it's really not worth anything if it's not functional. So, anyway, it's scrap iron without the tracks, but to get the tracks fixed, we're looking at between $20,000 and $30,000 in bid that we'd bring back to y'all next month for consideration.
We've already fixed one side, correct?
Yes, sir. I think we spent $22,000 on it about 3 years ago.
Okay.
How long is the estimated, like, repair estimated to last, or is there any, if we do go for bids, or is there any kind of warranty on the work, or like we'll come back and touch it up if we need to or something?
I'm sure there's a warranty on that one, but I'm sure Landon knows a lot more about.
Yeah, I don't know much.
Parts probably warranted. Labor would be probably warranted like a year, but that's about it. Just your parts.
Was the damage done just normal wear and tear?
Normal wear.
Okay, cool.
Correct. Yes.
No, you're good.
Yeah. A lot of moving parts.
Yes. Yes. All right. Do we hang on to it and fix it, or go out for bids is what we're, yeah.
This is just, all we're doing is making a motion to go out for bids. We're not approving
Right.
anything yet.
That's
So,
correct. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, I'll make the motion that we go out for bids.
If we got
Oh,
any
sorry.
discussion out here, feel free to come up. I don't know a lot about bulldozers, but some of these guys do. Okay, I'm sorry, Skylar. Go ahead.
You're fine. I'll just make the motion that we allow Jeff and the office to go out for bids on that and see what we can do.
A second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yep, 5-0. Okay, let's see here. Dozer repair. Okay, number 18, discuss, consider, and take action on specific use permit request for 307 North Tackett. Lauren, we've gotten back, we sent out letters to adjoining property owners.
Yes, and those letters are included, but there's also a map. Out of the letters that were sent, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 were returned. One was returned because they did not accept the mail. All of those responses were a no.
Okay.
And those letters are included in your packet.
Right. Can someone still comment from out here, right? Any discussion from out in the audience? Oh, here comes a gentleman. If you'll say your name again, just so people listening will know who's talking.
Hey, Bobby Morrow. On the property on Tackett Street, driven around that area, there's some not so nice houses, lots, dilapidated houses that need to be torn down. I've known Mr. Robinson. He's been my neighbor since he moved here 4 years ago, and he's not wanting to put an RV park in there. He wants to put a single RV for a friend of his or someone like that to live, where they can come, bring their family, be there, and be in our community peacefully. It'll be a fenced area, gravel parking lot. I mean, it's nothing but an improvement to bring up the aesthetics of that entire area. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Morrow.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. If you'll introduce yourself again and.
Jackie Welter, and I live at 301 North Tackett. The problem I have with the RV is we have been fighting for 3 years to get a fifth wheel, a trailer from the probably 1960, and a motorhome sitting on the corner lot that is ruining the neighborhood. We have the people that bought the house on the corner, the brown one, have tried to fix that up and are working on it regularly. The house next door to that is being worked on by people from Onley. The vacant lot sitting there has been worked on, and it at least looks halfway decent. But I look out my front door or sit on my front porch and I see, I've been here 8 years, and that lot is nothing but a junkyard. In the summertime, it stinks. I get along with the people that live there, but I do not like how it looks and how it affects the neighborhood. And if we allow the RV at 307, what's to stop it from going across the street? What's to stop them from going behind on, what's that, East Street or whatever it is?
East Street, yeah.
We have so many vacant lots that we are filling up with RVs that is absolutely ridiculous. And I know that they plan on doing nice things to that lot, but that defeats our purpose of trying to get rid of the ones that are not. Because how can we tell them that they can put one in and make it look nice and tell Ann that she has to move all of her stuff? That's hypocritical, and it affects my life personally because I'm trying to sell my house, whether I sell it to the person that's made me an offer or if I sell it to somebody else, it doesn't matter. It affects the value of my house. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
No, there's,
What? I didn't hear that.
it's fine.
Yeah, if you'll introduce yourself again.
Yes, sir. Eric Robinson.
Okay.
So I'm the owner of 307 Packet.
Yeah.
And just would like to say that's very stereotypical that we're talking that any camper is trash. I don't know anybody if they have driven down that street and seen that lot since I've purchased it. It is night and day difference. And I don't know any neighbor that would be around there that's not grateful for what we've done to that so far and the continued beautification that we want to do there. And it's, like I say, we can't look at campers and say that every camper is trash. That's like saying every house in Seymour is good or every house in Seymour is trash. We all have our own, we all upkeep things, and I have very high standards. And I mean, there's people sitting in this room, there's people sitting up there that know me, that personally been to my home, and I think they would vouch for how I keep things and how it looks. And I mean, I guess if there's been a lot of talk about people wanting to put houses on these empty lots. So if this gets denied and Miss Jackie, sounds like you'd have some money, you're more than welcome to buy that lot. You can fund a house on it. That'd be great for the town.
All right. Thanks, sir. Anyone else? Oh, hello.
Misty Weiser.
Yes, ma'am.
Just a citizen. I just have a question on the process of this, because I know you have 3 different things and I didn't know what y'all's process is on denying one, allowing the other. Like, what are your standards for that? Just curiosity of what y'all are looking for in that. Just curious.
I think some of it is, you look at everything, where it is, and the letters that go out to neighbors, they're directly affected, and you have to weigh that out. And I think you look at the total picture and try to come up with a good decision. I'm just speaking for myself.
I think, yeah, it's situational based for sure. I mean, with these specific use permits, I've worked on planning and zoning boards in bigger cities and things, and every situation is different. Opinions, you got your base opinions, then you got your opinions. Like this one isn't an RV park. I mean, I had a question as well for the owners. Are you guys purchasing an RV and put it on there, or is this is going, you have someone that you know is going to move into this, or is it just say, I'm going to put up a fence, a gravel driveway, and say, hey, this is a spot for one RV, and then you're renting out the lot to that person? Like, for the basics.
Yeah, so this would be just a lot set up that somebody could pull an RV on. And the great thing about that, where it's one lot, that we can be very picky on who goes there. And if it's somebody that we don't want there, we don't have to rent it. And that's the reason we put one lot in. We're not trying to get rich off this. We're not trying to have a second income off this. We're trying to make it because I've worked in the industry I've been in for a long time now. I've been about 13 years in this industry, and I work with a lot of people that travel. And I realize how taxing that is to be away from your home, away from your family, and living on the road and living in an RV. And if you have something that you can have a private, secluded spot, and you're not with neighbors and other campers that you can bring your family to, that would be very nice for some people and very appealing for people working on the road that could spend that time with their family. I know multiple people that homeschool their children so that they can be on the road with them with their wife. And that's a good time in their life that they need to spend with family.
And who owned the property before? Wasn't there a camper or an RV already there before temporarily?
Yes, sir, there was. And
Oh,
the
there was a
gentleman
camper there.
lived in that camper on that lot before.
And was that before you owned it or?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just clarifying. I mean, if you look on Google, it shows an RV there, or a camper there. So I was just
There was an unpermitted RV
Right,
prior to our customer card change. So like we changed that customer card 90 days ago, and
Yeah.
180 days before that, that camper was moved
Right.
onto that property.
And that was prior to your purchase either way. Okay.
Yes,
I drove by it today, so I know that's been cleaned up and
Yeah.
whatnot. And the privacy fence, just a standard like 6-foot wooden privacy fence, or
Oh,
what were y'all
we'd
thinking?
like to do steel, and that's
Okay.
that's one we've actually talked to the one neighbor that's here. We told them that we would like to put that up, and I wanted to talk to them about what color they wanted and if we matched their existing, and we wanted to be very open about this and make it something nice.
So I mean, you're basically making it a rental property. I mean, just without a rental house. So it's just an
Yes.
open spot. Yeah. It's not a transient. It's not an in and out daily. It's not a nightly rental. It's trying to do long-term rentals.
Yep.
Do y'all have plans on making that a month to month, like a 6 month, or how? I mean,
It would all be dependent on the style of work and who was staying there. I mean, I don't want to say that it's only going to be for wind farm workers because
Right.
again, that's not fair.
Yeah,
We have
that's
a lot of
biased.
hunters in this area, and we just got done talking about a banner and trying to promote hunters and that coming in. I mean, how many hunters come into a town that already live here? I mean,
Yeah.
they don't come in and bring a house with them. They don't rent a house because there's not many here. What do they bring? They bring an RV. So if we want to promote hunters in this town, it's a good idea to have a nice, comfortable spot for them to come to that's appealing that they want to come back.
and do you guys plan on having the standards on like year models or condition of the camper?
It'd be conditional based by our judgment. I mean, so we're not going to have a written rule because you start getting the written rules on that and say nothing under a 2000. But
Right.
then you have somebody that has a 1960 Airstream that's the coolest thing you've ever seen
Yeah,
restored.
for sure.
And
Well,
they're not-
yeah, and condition is what I mean
Yep.
by that, because you can have a 1960 Airstream that the panels are falling off too. So, or you could
Exactly.
have a 2024 with a window bust. I mean, there's like I'm just saying, condition wise.
Yep, it would be to my standards, which as anybody that's been to my home or driven past my home, I think they can easily see what my standards
And I'm
are.
just trying to clarify because there's only so much information that we can get off of the application, and also that the neighbors and citizens can get off the application. So
Yeah.
I'm just,
Oh yeah, definitely.
yeah. All right, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Any other questions?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, do you talk about under the cover? Yeah, it's storage. Yeah. Correct. Isn't that just stored there? I think she's here, or she was here.
Yeah, there's a storage.
Oh, there you go. You're back there. Sorry. Yeah, it's stored. Y'all built the cover over it. Thank you, Bobby.
Any other discussion out on the
Well,
audience?
just Lauren or Jeff, either way, what's as far as they've been working or fighting, as far as people have noted that they've been fighting for 3+ years or whatever it is to clean up across the street, do y'all have any kind of, record or opinions or anything on as far as them trying to clean that up? Because I know I'm familiar with the property. I grew up, 3 houses down, so I know the area very well. But
The property was purchased from a gentleman who had a camper on there probably since 1985, and he was told that it was out of conformance and that when he sold it, he needed to explain to the next person that they were not allowed to move a camper in. Because when we first started this non-conformance stuff, he was in the process of selling it.
Right.
The person that purchased it immediately moved a camper on. So we sent them a letter and said, you're in non-conformance. I purchased this from so-and-so who said I could put a camper on it because he had a camper on it. We sent it to municipal court. It was thrown out. We then they moved off of the property, no camper, 3 campers came in. This was prior to our customer card where we wouldn't turn utilities on. So they would just come in and say, we want utilities on at an address. There's a meter there. We flip the switch
Right.
and there you are, without any understanding that there's going to be 3 campers there. We've run into some various other issues where we've had some turn on and turn offs due to things. But as far as, how do I say this? As far as issuing citations in a zoning deal, it was determined that putting zoning in municipal court was not good because we threw out $70,000 worth of code enforcement in municipal court because people wouldn't come pay their fines.
Right.
So it's kind of difficult to enforce these things. That's why we went to the customer card route to stop it before it
Right.
starts.
And that's-
Retroactive is very difficult.
So that property across from the 301 North Tackett, I think it's addressed as Pecan, right? They're front and 407 at 2 properties.
We just use the 401. It's
Right. I
metered
just
at
meant
401.
parcel wise. I mean, they're just split across 2 parcels right there,
Sure.
just thrown on there. And so they're just kind of, because it's probably gonna get thrown out, they just leave their 2 campers and a 5th wheel just chilling and
So
mind their business. Or?
I really don't have a whole lot of information prepared for 401
No,
East
you're
Pecan.
fine. Yeah, yeah.
Because that wasn't what we were supposed to be addressing. But I can get a history of what we've done zoning and citation wise on 401 East Pecan, the times we've turned the water off, the times we've done whatever. But we're not allowed to stop utilities
Right.
at a lot for zoning non-conforming.
Can we stop it due to violate like citations and violations?
You
not
can
being
never
paid?
shut someone's utilities off based off of zoning
Just
or
being non-paid
citations.
is the only way. Yeah. So we can all we can.
But
do
we
is
can
cite
prevent
them.
them being turned on by going
Right,
through
if
the
they come
customer
back
card
again.
way. Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, we're
there's-
being preemptive now instead of fighting the retroactive battle. That's why so many people are here with you today.
No, yeah, and
because-
I guess I'm just kind of discussing because I know I'm also not a huge fan of manufactured homes or RVs being put in to live in long term or permanently. In most cases, just because of they don't last as long as houses traditionally, and there's lots of studies on that, obviously. But that property across the street's an eyesore, and whether they put a nice RV and they put a metal fence up and they do all that stuff, they're still going to get judged based on that eyesore, and that's what's happening. I mean,
So my suggestion would be that you hold a public hearing and require the owners of that lot to come, just like you did on
Yeah.
1007 North Main, and say you have an abatement issue,
Oh, yeah.
and this is the conformance that you need to come into, and that's how I would handle that
Yeah.
at this point.
No, I agree, and I'm just asking because of that, because that's one of the main disagreements with this property is that property. So it's kind of like, what can we do to help mitigate that and also help these guys add tax value and add money into into the city? So
Okay, any other discussion out here? Any discussion on the council?
Hey, Mayor,
Yes, sir.
are we approving this tonight, or is this just the first hearing?
This is approving or not approving?
So this is an action item.
Yes,
Okay. Are you ready for a motion?
yes.
I make a motion that we approve this.
Okay, Councilman Glass is making a motion that 307 North Tackett be approved for a special use permit. Is there a second?
yeah, I'll second. And then I just also want to make that comment that to the public, if they do change this use or try to add a second RV or anything to that, this is null and void, and it goes back to square one of this whole process. So I know the folks that are really not happy about the RV parks and whatnot, and the places that look like that are just throwing like 6 RVs on a lot and calling it a park. That this isn't that case. This is more of a single use property, and it's more of a rental, and it's meant to be cleaned up and looking that way.
Okay.
Well, wait a minute. You can't specify that as a second.
No,
I
it
have to
wasn't.
do
I was
that
just
in
a
my
side
motion.
note, Monty. It wasn't part of the second. It was just a comment.
I just make sure that that's not in my motion.
No.
Right,
No.
right.
Okay.
It's what's in the application.
Yep.
Okay. It is in the application. Okay. All right. We've got a motion and a second. to approve it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So we've got aye, aye. Did somebody say aye down here? And Billy Henry said aye. All opposed say no.
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 It's 3, it passes 3-2. Okay, number 19. Discuss, consider, and take action on the specific use permit request for 1101 North Cedar. And that is Hunter Hendrick. That's his, right? Correct. Do we have any discussion on that from out here? Do we have any discussion up here? If we don't, I'm not trying to rush anybody, but do I have a motion on that one?
I'll make a motion that we accept it.
We have a motion from Councilman Billy Hendricks. We do this, approve it. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Glass. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say no.
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 3-2, approved. Number 20, discuss, consider, and take action on the specific use permit request for 1009 Plainview. Any discussion out here or up here? Okay. Yes, ma'am. If you'll introduce yourself again.
Jesse King at 1009 Plainview. I don't want to be repetitive, y'all. I just want to reiterate that I'm only asking to develop a portion of the property, not the entire property. I've got 4 acres back there. I'm only talking about the special use permit on the northernmost 2 acres there. I'm talking about 10 hookups. And it is personally important to me. I know it's important to my neighbors to do something that's quality, that's going to last, that's going to look good, that we're all going to have to look at. I'm talking about spending a lot of money. Privacy fences, landscaping, planting trees, whole 9 yards. So, if y'all have any questions for me. I don't know if you can
Questions
see
up
the
here?
Site plan or not.
Yeah, I think we've got information on your site plan.
Okay. All right, I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Site plan is on page 155 of your packet. Starting on page 156, 157, and 158 are the images of the map that we mail out our letters to, and the responses that we got back and what those responses were. So we sent out 21 letters on this property. It was a lot of adjoining properties. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 responses, and those letters are also included in your deal. All of them were no.
What were the responses?
All the responses were no.
Okay. Mr. Baldwin.
Thank you. Regarding, I was just discussed the traffic a while ago. What about the infrastructure over there? I know y'all approved to buy the well puller or the pump puller that we have trouble over to the lift station over by my house. You're adding 5 houses there, 10 there, 5 there. How can that handle that when it can't even handle what's there now? Yeah, it's just, they're over there once every 2 weeks, sometimes 2 times a week, pulling the pump up at the lift station there. And everything else, it has to be done, the power lines, whatever goes on, when you build everything, you're going to have to put in there. The sewer lines, the water, the electricity. And if the proposed road goes through on that east-west side, would a gate be put there? Would the traffic come down in front of us all the time? Or where's it going to go? And we hear it all. We see it all. And we get all the dirt. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Baldwin. How long have you lived there, Joe? Oh, that all? You're a newcomer. Okay. Yeah. Let's say, I didn't hear that. Beg your pardon? Come on up.
Traffic would access that location on the north end Of my private residence, the northernmost part of that is the access point to that center lot back there. So the lot back there is not a perfect shape, rectangle or whatever. There's this little jot that comes out to the road, which is that lot, even though they're all under my name, there's two separate. So that's the access point. So I would actually be developing like driveway area in that north spot, north of my house, north of my personal parking.
No, right
area.
where it is.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Thank you.
So you said is the property right to the north of your house that you on your thing, it says street access, and then the 4 acres behind it, is that two different parcels? So the one behind it, the 4 acres, is actually landlocked? Is like technically?
Yes. So there's two locations, and I don't know if y'all can see it or not. I don't know what y'all are looking at, but my private residence
Right.
and the location that we're talking about adjoin each other. And the access to that one that's in the centermost part,
Right.
that is landlocked, yeah. So that comes out to Plainview Road over there on the north side of my private residence, the 1009 spot. So that is the only, as far as I'm aware, that's the only like, as far as the city, however you built the streets or whatever way back when the neighborhood was developed, I think that's the only
place.
There's not any alleyways or anything.
There's a
I'm just asking if it's
proposed
landlocked.
road.
I think there might be
No,
an
there's a
alleyway,
proposed
but
road.
it's only a legal
proposed
alleyway.
road?
It's not like a physical, like an
Is that-
existing alleyway.
With the development that the school's possibly doing there on our planning and zoning map, there is a planned road
Between
comes
Weiss
off of
and Lawn?
Whiteside that heads north towards the Plainview addition, and then it turns west, and it doesn't have a name, of course, but it comes up and turns like this, almost like a cul-de-sac, and then it's an alleyway to the alley of Plainview. Does that make sense? But the road is actually only
The Lawn
developed
Street?
halfway up, and then it turns. So
Yeah, it runs
Yeah,
off
and I-
Weiss, like
I-
where Whiteside
obviously I
turns to Weiss and
haven't
goes north to Lawn Street right
Yes.
there. So that's in our development
that's
plan.
a developed road. So when we sent the plat to the school for their stuff, you can see that planned
Right.
road is in there where all those lots are. Do you remember?
No, that makes sense because we have one next to my house too that's blocked off. That was supposed to go out to the highway, but
I don't
okay, so-
think that would affect me. I'm not exactly.
no, it wouldn't. It would just be
it's not
another
something
road
that I would
access.
ask to use
So-
or have access to or whatever.
No, you're good. I was just questioning because I know in some, I don't remember. Don't have all of our ordinances down to heart. But I didn't know if we had any restrictions on landlocked properties. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because sometimes you have to combine those two parcels before you can develop something. But
Yeah.
if we did,
And-
not that you're okay. I just don't want to, if we were to approve it,
Yeah.
and then you still have to go and you have to combine those two parcels into
I
one
see what
before you can
mean,
actually.
Yeah,
'cause-
and as far as combining or
it's just
rezoning or whatever, I would, like I said earlier, I would have to restructure that lot in question, but I would have to do that only because, like I said, right now it's USDA farm.
Yeah.
You know, and so
Right.
I would have to go down to them and kind of redo those lines, and I
And
think
it's-
Paula would still tax me
As
the
far as
same
the-
as far as the square footage or
As
whatever.
far as your USDA farm, you're using it. What's on it right now? Just nothing, or is it just do you have like some animals on it, or
I'm sorry, do I have?
you said you have it under ag or agriculture or farming? Do you have animals
so
on
that's,
there? or-
that southernmost, that south 2 acres there that I'm not,
Yeah.
that is not in question, I would leave that for personal use. I'm not going to be changing anything there that I'm asking for a permit
No, you're
on or
fine.
anything.
Yeah, I just didn't know if you were using it for anything yet, right now, or if it's just vacant and you're
Just
cleaning it up.
personal use.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I just have a question for her, maybe you too. Some of the parks close to us, people drive, some of the men drive their big sand gravel trucks, semi trucks, and park it by the RV park or by their house. Is this going to be allowed there? That you're going to have parking semi trucks going down there if they own a semi truck? Is that going to be going down there to their residence, which is now the RV park? The private street, which seems not
Yeah.
to be very wide.
All right. Good point. Good point. All right, anybody else? Beg your pardon? Yeah, no, it's not going to.
Yeah, I don't think they'd fit. It'd be tough. Well, I don't think it'll semi.
I guess I haven't anticipated gravel trailers, and that's something that I would have to consider. I personally, I don't really have any plans or desire to have any gravel or sand trailers parked there. That's not what it was designed for. That's not.
No,
the
but
goal.
she's talking about
Yeah.
if they bring a travel trailer and they drive a truck
Yeah.
and they park in the RV park, they're going to park their truck somewhere.
I don't think the road is rated for that kind of weight.
No, but if she's going to make it nice and neat, she's going to have rock trucks come and bring her gravel in there to gravel her parking lot where the RV's going to go.
Well, I mean,
I think
would
we're
have
talking
to-
about residential. Like I'm going to live in this camper and bring my semi truck with me.
Yeah, because over by their house, what she's talking about, that
Oh.
semi with the big old trailer just parks right on the curb on the side of the road all the time.
Yeah.
Two of them, yeah, they're over there all the
Yeah.
time.
So
Oh, there's four.
personally, I'm not really interested. I guess I'm
She's
not
talking
really
about
sure
the-
what everybody that drives it in an RV or a camper or whatever, what if they would be here working for Zach Burkett or whatever. I'm not really interested in having a bunch of semis parked there either, because I also live there.
So you're going to discriminate because they drive a truck and I'm just
No,
throwing
sir,
it out
I'm
there.
not going to discriminate. It's something that I haven't taken into consideration.
I mean, if I'm here working for the wind farm and I'm on a haul for the next 3 or 4 months, I'm bringing an RV in here and they drive a truck. What are you going to do? Are you going to say, no, you can't park an RV in here?
I guess maybe.
I don't know. I'm
They
just throwing
would,
it out there.
Maybe I would request that they made arrangements to leave their truck at the yard. I'm not
Well-
sure. That's a discussion I would have to have with the tenant,
There-
on a case-by-case basis. I may not be entirely able to answer that in its entirety right now without talking to the person
There-
or the situation.
Yeah. Okay, next.
Really-
All right. That's to be determined, I guess.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right.
Anything else?
That's it. I think we've got somebody behind you that wants to speak.
Thank you.
Okay.
Again, I'm kind of a competitor for Ms. King here, but I do recommend that we propose or move on with her recommendation. We were talking a while ago, Seymour needs more places for transient workers to bring their houses. So this is an economic boost for Seymour. I know she's fixing to spend a ton of money. I know what I spent. So, we're just talking good for the community. It's land right now that's not being used. 6 to 10 trailers or camper RVs will bring a lot of money into our city with grocery stores and restaurants and everything else. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. If you'll introduce yourself.
I'm Sid Wynn.
Okay.
Thank you, council and mayor, for this evening. And it's been a long time since I've been here, but it's kind of interesting to hear the conversations this evening. But it sounds like we've got an enforcement problem in lots of areas. We've got problems, but yet we don't enforce it, or we put it over in somebody's hands, but there's no follow up. So that's a big issue you guys need to address. With Miss King's issue, she makes a valid point about having a trailer parked there, but if you guys will go back and look at your ordinances, I guarantee you're going to find one that says no through trucks. There's no trucks allowed on city streets. So that's not even her issue. That's the council, and that's the responsibility of the city to enforce. Thank you.
There are ordinances regarding various size trucks. Sid's correct. All right. Anything else? All right. Anything else up here? Councilman Glass, you got anything to say?
No, the only thing I got to say is Sid Wynn is correct. There is something in there. But also, I think I remember about 3 or 4, maybe 5 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, we made, I wouldn't say an exception, but we discussed if that was their only means of transportation, they could take a truck home and park it. Now I may be wrong, but I was thinking that we discussed that and had some kind of a stipulation there. That's something Lauren and
That's
Jeff
what the
would have to
ordinance
look
says.
up.
So the ordinance says that there is no through truck traffic. However, if that is the only means to your residence, you're allowed to drive your vehicle, your truck to your vehicle. And I've recently read these ordinances within the last 2 weeks. So that is what it says.
Yeah, we're not going to start a city DOT now.
This is Chief Bryce Sawyer speaking on weights of trucks. Okay, let's go ahead and move forward on this. Discuss, consider, take action on the specific use permit request for 1009 Plainview. Do we have a motion? Oh. How many said no? 14?
Out of the responses that we had, the 14 responses we had, they all said no. And those letters are included by address and by map in there, so you can see.
Any yeses?
No, we did not have any yeses.
Okay.
They were all no's.
Do we have a motion?
Mayor, I make a motion that we pass this special use permit. That's only extra money in our economy.
We have a motion to do this from Councilman Glass. Do we have a second? If we don't have a second, this is going to fail. Do we have a second? Am I correct? This fails due to lack of a second. The motion dies. Okay, number 21, discuss, consider, and take action granting an easement to 300 West Custer.
This property was recently purchased by a woman in Dallas. And if you will look on page 171, her property is squared in yellow. The easement or the encroachment issue is at West 10th Street at the northern side. There is an old chicken coop, shed thing, and then there's some trees. Her first request was that we close and abandon the road. So what we do is send out an MOC request, and had everyone go and assess utility wise if we should close the road. It came back, no, we need access for getting to the utilities that are there. So then the suggestion would be that we grant her an easement, which would allow for her to keep the chicken coops where they are, no new construction. And if they were removed, they could not be replaced.
Okay, and we've got information from our city folks. Access is needed for the water department, it says. Okay. Any discussion on this from out here? Any discussion from up here? We have a motion.
So the problem is that the water and the sewer need access either way. So, we can't close.
Due to the fact they need access to work on these things, it can't be closed. Go ahead.
You grant them an easement, she gets to keep the chicken coops and the trees. If you say, no, we're not going to grant you an easement, then I'm going to send her a letter and tell her to remove the structures.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So if we have an easement there, then it's just.
Then she can keep the structures.
But if we have to get in there and tear out the whole area, then that stuff's going to have to get moved either way. if we have to go.
We
in there
have
for-
enough room to access.
Right,
There's
yeah.
no utility being obstruct from the chicken
I'm
coops.
just saying hypothetically.
Hypothetically,
yes. If it's an
yes.
easement, we can clear it
can-
if we have to,
yeah.
or ask it
Yeah.
to be cleared if we need to get in there.
With a utility easement, you can get in however you need to
Yeah,
get in.
Yes.
yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, how are we?
Yeah.
So we could grant this easement and not
Does this
still be able to get in and do what we need to do.
and this
This just says she can have her chicken coops and
Gotcha.
encroach on our planned 10th or our 10th Street.
were the chicken coops and everything in before we did all those
Yes.
permits, so they're grandfathered in. And all
They've
that
been
jazz?
there. That house has been there since
I figured.
early 1900s or
I
something.
know that. I mean, I was checking, make sure all the I's are dotted.
Anybody like to make a motion on this?
I make a motion we grant the easement.
We have a motion. We have a second.
A second.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Okay. 5-0. 22, we're moving right along. Discuss, consider, and take action on going out for bank bids, extending our current contract with People's Bank for 2 additional years. Dr. Brazier, would you like to talk about that?
Yes, we've extended the end of the contract, but the council does have the option of extending that for 2 additional years. I think you can do that 2 different times. So I would recommend that we just extend that for another 2 years. I think right now with everything we got going in our finance department, we don't need to try to switch banks at this point in time. So anyway, that's my recommendation.
Peoples has helped us in some ways, and we appreciate that. Would anybody like to make any discussion out here? Any more discussion up here? Anybody like to make a motion?
I make a motion.
Go ahead.
I make a motion that we extend that agreement with People's Bank for 2 additional years.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Councilman Wynn, go ahead.
I'm going to abstain from the this action item here.
He's related to Ms. Wynn out here. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? There's none. Okay, 2 more years. Number 23, discuss, consider, and take action on ordinance 2024-09, amending the planning and zoning ordinance to clarify council action as the planning and zoning board. We discussed this earlier. Is there any discussion out here? I think we're just getting this on paper just to be perfectly clear that we assume the duties of the planning and zoning board, which has been defunct for some time. Any
Yeah, I'll make
discussion up here?
Is there a discussion? No.
Ba-
I'll just
basically.
make the motion that we do amend that planning and zoning ordinance to clarify that we are basically the planning and zoning now.
Okay, we have a motion to do this. Any second?
I'll second.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye. Okay. Number 24, it passes 5-0. 24, discuss and consider and take action on the specific use permits on ordinance 2024-10 concerning banners placed over Main Street for the purpose of advertising local events and encouraging tourism within the community. Any discussion? Somebody like to make a motion?
I make a motion that we take action for the use permits on ordinance 2024-10 concerning the banners.
Monty second.
Do we have a motion to do this, to approve this? We have a second from
Monty, yeah.
Monty, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No. Okay, it's 5-0. We now move to the executive session portion of this meeting, and appreciate y'all coming. We'll see y'all.
I know we're getting a fan.
If she's gonna make her lot, she's gonna gravel all that shit. She's gonna get big trucks in there.